I think it's official now.
Is it good?
We're going, dude. Camera's going.
Let's do it.
Audio going. All right, dude.
We're in.
We're already doing it.
We're in the podcast.
This is. Hello, everybody. Hey, I'm in a podcast right now. Cool. Well, once again, dude, thanks for coming and taking time out of your busy schedule to come talk to me and
absolutely
hang out with me, chat with me.
Heck yeah. You mentioned it a little while ago, so I was fired up, pumped. I said, what are we going to talk about? And you're like, no, we're just going to talk. I was like, cool. Let's do it.
We'll find interesting things to talk about.
I'm down.
So,
I don't even know if we need to find them. They're already there.
Dude, just let it bubble up to the surface of your consciousness and just let it out, man. Don't hold back.
I'm digging it.
So the way I typically like to start this out is just introducing to the people listening who I'm talking with. And this is a special edition, everybody. I know it's only my fifth one. This is my first time doing it in the evening, so the lighting's a little different, but yeah, I think it's going to
Number 5, here we go.
Nicely. Yeah.
Number 5 at night. This is podcasting in the evening. Here we go.
So why don't you just give us a little introduction? Tell us about yourself, a little background.
Cool. My name is Mike Kroeger. Go by Mike or Michael, either one. Totally cool.
Why don't we start off with how we met, too, just so people understand
fair,
the background.
Yeah, I like that. So I think the first time I met you was I was with the Smoothie bike, and you were pedaling around on pedal wagon. Is that right?
I was working pedal wagon at the time.
Or no, yeah. I was okay. So that's really funny. So I was coming over to pedal wagon with the Smoothie bike.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You were in the parking lot.
Yes, I think Jack and Tom was still involved with pedal wagon at that time, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you should definitely like come over and just make smoothies while people are over there." And this was in 2016. Mm-hmm. So this Smoothie bike weighs probably about 500 pounds ish, 600 pounds. And it's a bike with about a 7-foot long bar on top of it, right? So you have your blenders, you got your little sinks and all that stuff, and little condiment holder to hold fruits and different things so you can make smoothies. And I like to kind of test the limit. So the first year we rolled out in June of 2016. So we weren't really in any events. We weren't in Findlay Market.
That's when you first hit the streets with it.
Yeah, literally hit the streets. We're like, well, let's just go take this thing down in OTR and, make some smoothies. So it was really fun. And people were like, what the heck is this? And, coming and trying to find out what we were and buying a smoothie. And that was all good. So most of that was kind of sticking to more flat ground, right? Because even small bumps or little things would trying to get this bike over, it's a single gear.
That thing's a beast.
So yeah, a beast, a little tank. So
I couldn't imagine going up a bigger hill with that thing. Probably impossible.
So I like to test the limits of what's possible for this thing. And I was like, oh, we're going over to pedal wagon. Then I see the gigantic hill to get up to the top where you guys are. Which street is that? Like,
so it's like Sycamore, and then it's like 12th Street.
Yeah, and 12th goes up. So I kind of get a start. And I'm pedaling furiously because momentum is key with that
so
thing.
Going down that hill.
So get down a little hill, and then I'm going up, and it's great. And then I'm starting to slow down. I'm halfway, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm starting to come back. And I'm like, no.
I've seen that thing has pretty strong brakes though. Like, all right, and just like no crisis here.
Well, it does, but then the crazy thing is, as far as pedaling it, it's very difficult. But then if you get off and just straight push it, it's for whatever reason manageable. So I literally get off, and I think one of it might have been Stu from Pedal Wagon who had saw me and felt terrible, so he was coming over to try to help, so we pushed it up, and then I got it over to Pedal Wagon, and then just started making smoothies for you guys. And you were the one who came over and chatting, and I think the one that you got was BanaSun, if I remember correctly. Sometimes I have a weird, really good memory for certain things, and then there's like one or two people, it's like I can't remember anything.
But yeah, I was interested because at the time I was just starting up with Enjoy.
Correct. Yeah.
And we just started at Findlay Market in May of 2016. So, I was like seeing a little tiny cart that's, seemingly custom made. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I can relate to this. Let me see what's going on with this guy. This is cool.
Right. Yeah. So you come over, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. You're talking about Enjoy. Like, hey, we're doing this thing. And you were telling a little bit about your story, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Let's get together, grab coffee. And we went to Sidewinder Coffee. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
They have a bunny. They literally have a bunny.
Yeah. The bunny's not there anymore.
Wait, what?
Womp womp.
What happened to the bunny?
I think it was just old.
Oh,
And
no.
So yeah, it's not there anymore. Poor bunny. It was so chill though. It was super chill.
Literally in the courtyard of
the
the coffee shop.
Yes.
It's fenced in, and it's basically you're in the bunny cage, so to speak, with the bunny, and it just, you know, you can hang out with it, be nice to it, and just kind of hangs out. That was my first experience with Sidewinder. I thought that was really cool. I went back. It was good.
Yeah, I went back as well. Sidewinder is a good spot.
I don't know if I'll go back without the bunny, though.
Ah, right. That bunny was a major draw, major feature of that experience.
Right. So that's how we first met.
Yeah.
Right. We're both kind of trying to start these things, get them off the ground.
Entrepreneurial spirit, getting our businesses off the ground.
Yeah.
Little mobile food operation.
Right. And then I think I saw you from time to time, right? And it was always, you know, it's always great to, when you're doing those things, to see friendly faces and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah. It was cool seeing you after I met you. Just seeing you around town, just pedaling around or set up, just like wherever. I'm like, oh, like he's getting at it. You're hustling, you know?
That was
cool.
A lot of running around town trying to just see what would work, and it was good. It was good to like get the name out there and get exposure. I don't know how profitable it was that first year to you know, actually do all that, but it was kind of fun to get out there, and you know, for people who, unfortunately, you know, like a lot of people would get upset about a bike on the road. Now imagine like a 10-foot bike by 4 feet, you know, going on the road. I don't know that many people are, you know, happy to be behind that for a little bit. So,
well, at least
I survived.
How fast could you go in that thing? Maybe like
10. 10.
What was it? Yeah, it's only a single gear.
Yeah.
You can't, you know.
5,
really
10 at most. Yeah, you can't. You can get some momentum, but then it gets really dicey as, you know, trying to stop that thing before, you know, a bump or something kind of pops up in front of you. So,
yeah. Thankfully, it wasn't like a fixed gear bicycle where you had to pedal backwards to get it to stop. You're trying to stop like 500 pounds braking, like, oh no, it's going a little too fast.
Right. So, yeah. Unfortunately, one time it did fall on me. That was brutal.
Like the whole thing just toppled over.
Well, I was putting it on the trailer, and the trailer was by itself. It wasn't connected to the car. I didn't realize that. I just didn't even think about it. Right now, looking back, it's like, okay, that's the dumbest thing ever. You can't put this bike on the trailer without it, you know, being connected to a car so that it doesn't flip. Just because I think I was trying to like unpack pretty quickly, and the trailer was separated from the car, so I put it on there, and then it falls on me, and I was like, oh yeah, that was a brutal, scary moment. There was a lot of scary moments with it, going down some hills too fast, and but I'm still alive. Dude, the bike is still alive.
One piece.
Yeah,
I've had some incidences on my bike.
Oh yeah,
because I don't own a vehicle anymore.
Right.
So I got rid of my car at the beginning of this year. Just ride my bike everywhere.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I've had some close calls, and you know, had some
with like cars or
with cars. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, or just falling.
Well, it's just kind of a tough. I just feel like the roads really aren't set up well for biking. There's a couple, you know, where they got some bike lanes, and it makes it pretty easy. But then otherwise, you know, a lot of time you're just thrown into the mix, and I don't know that motorists are always, you know, the biggest fans of bikes, which, you know, kind of sucks, but that's all right.
Yeah, especially people are in a hurry. They don't want to get behind a bicyclist.
Right.
And yeah, I took a tumble recently. I was here on Fairfield Avenue. I was heading east, and I was taking a right where Party Source is. I was taking a right, and I was going fast. I was getting it, you know, like keeping up with traffic. Take a right, and I didn't see that there was like just a little tiny patch of gravelly stuff, just a little tiny patch, just right there. And you know, I'm kind of braking a little too as I'm turning, and I just completely ate it, just wiped out. Yeah,
oh, geez.
Like my shoulder, my knee, and wherever else. And I'm just now like the scabs are gone.
Yeah, no, that's.
But it was like, man, thankfully nobody like ran me over, or you know, it could have been a lot worse.
Wait, so did anybody see? Did you just pick yourself up?
Yeah, I just picked myself up, walked to the sidewalk. You know, I think I had one lady or somebody ask like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." Just bleeding a little bit. Just a little bit of blood to the flesh wound. But dude, that's what it is, man. You're out there on the streets. There's no airbags. You're just open air. You are completely vulnerable.
Hoping somebody will catch you.
Yes, you're doing a trust fall all the time with all the people around you when you're on a bicycle.
It's a 24/7 trust fall.
Yeah. And so I've become super chill at just like accepting anything that happens. You know?
So now
I don't stress about it.
Do you get into like other extreme sports?
I used to skateboard.
Yeah.
I went skydiving once.
Right. All right.
But no, not too
wait.
much.
So how was skydiving?
It was good.
When did you go?
I went back in 2013, I believe.
Where did you go?
I went to a place called it's in Xenia, Ohio. I'll tell you the exact name of it. It's called Skydive Greene County. Opened in 1969. Went with a couple buddies, my brother, and also Ronaldo.
Cool.
And, you know, some people say, you know, you're really, like, nervous or just like, oh, I'm so scared or whatever. I had none of those feelings. I felt super calm and cool and just like, whatever. Because I knew how safe it was.
Yeah.
Like, they'd never had anyone die from tandem jumping, you know, when you're attached to, like, a trained person. There's also, like, these safeguards. There's 2 parachutes. If you hit a certain, what's the word I'm looking for?
Altitude?
Yes, altitude. If you reach a certain altitude, a bag will just automatically deploy even.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's so many things in place. And I did it. It was fun. It was exhilarating. I felt like my shoes were going to fall off most of the time, even though I tied them on super tight. I was like, my shoes are going to fall off. And if my shoe came off and like hit something that was living on the ground, you know, like a couple thousand feet, like that thing's gonna be dead probably. So I'm like, don't lose the. So you know, I was kind of
don't lose
the shoes while skydiving, and yeah, it was good, man.
Wait,
good.
So would you do more? I mean,
I would. Let me say this.
I don't feel like a very strong connection to like.
I don't feel like
it's kind of like
I don't feel like I got the exhilaration that a lot of people get from it. I didn't get that rush. Like I did get a rush, but it wasn't like, you know, heart beating out of my chest, adrenaline, just like, oh yeah, I feel so alive. It's like, yeah, I feel good and I feel alive, but I didn't get the same reaction that a lot of people get.
So,
and what if that's just like my physiology? Like I'm just not, like I don't get too worked up typically in like tense situations.
No, that's
or even life and death situations. I'm like, okay, this is bad. Let's get out of this. Let's not have this, you know, go the wrong way.
No, this is really cool. How am I only finding this out now? Because it actually connects some pieces for me for like stuff that I've gone through with some more extreme sports. But before we go there, what is there anything that you do where you kind of like, it's like, I don't know if I should do that again. I don't know, like rock climbing or like something, like anything that is that kind of there at all or not really? Like just doesn't even.
No, I'm not. No, I mean, I'll try anything. I'll do anything.
Nice.
Nothing has scared me enough to where I'm like, no.
But again. I mean, is there anything that kind of does that you still want to do that you want to try? Like for me, like rock climbing kind of freaks me out, but I still want to do it. And it's like, I know that, you know, if I get close to the edge of a cliff, I got this crazy, like, I feel like I'm falling off the cliff. If it's not like a, let's just say like the top of a building where there's, you know, it's fenced in and it's perfectly safe, right? Assuming like a tornado doesn't come and throws you off.
Yeah.
But, you know, on the side of a mountain where it's just you're out there, there's no railing, you know, then if you're like right next, like if this is the edge, all of a sudden, like, you know, I'm kind of freaking out a little. But I still want to do it, and kind of like that's where, to me, I get the rush a little bit. But what I've found, like I've done bungee jumping a couple of times. The first time I did it, it was incredible. Because you have to get over that. I think for me, there's a little bit of being afraid of heights. It's just kind of, I don't know how that's genetic.
Yeah.
But it is. Like, I think a lot of people in my family are afraid of heights.
I have like no fear of heights.
Really?
It's probably almost unhealthy. I'm like, like, you know, like side of the Grand Canyon. I'm just like stepping up to it, looking over, and like, oh wow, that's really far down. And my parents are getting mad at me, like, Ben, what are you doing? This family trip, I keep walking to the edge, just like, let's look over, just being stupid.
That's awesome.
I was 21. I was young and reckless.
No, but I think for me, like once I get that close to the edge, like I feel like I'm falling off. So then it's like I gotta like pull myself back. So it's certainly
it's a survival instinct kicking in.
It's like if you get close, like I feel like I'm just like
Just a
going.
leaf
Like
in the
it's
wind.
like some like impulse is gonna like just push me off. So for you, I feel like when people talk about the rush, it's because there's so much resistance or there's fear like within, and then when you go over that, it just feels really good not to have that resistance or not have that fear anymore, right? So like
you're conquering the fear.
yeah, so you're jumping out of a plane, you're freaking out like, oh no, like what if I die? What if this happened? Then you just jump and you can't do anything. So it's just like you get to enjoy it. Because you had talked about that. So for me, when I've done a couple of bungee jumping experiences, a couple of times doing canyoning, and then I did bungee jumping skydiving towards the end of that, and it was kind of like just pretty chill. At this point, it's like I know it's super safe. Strapped up to the instructor, got the parachutes, automatic, all that stuff. So really, it's just like you look and like, you jump out, and it's super relaxing, right? You're just hanging in the air for like 30, 40 seconds.
Relaxed.
I think for me, I kind of get sad a little bit because like I know that the bungee jumping or maybe skydiving isn't really like drawing or like catching that interest where it was like, oh, that's super cool. Like I really want to do it. I want to push the limit. And now it's like,
yeah.
I don't know.
You become desensitized.
Well, desensitized, but I don't know. Maybe I got to go bigger. And then it's like, well,
and then that becomes normal. You're like, all right, I got to keep going bigger and bigger.
Right. So it's like, it's one of those things that it can be challenging.
Yeah.
I think actually it was in a yoga class. They were talking about it where it's, I forget what the word is, but it's where you're balanced. You're satisfied with where you are, but you're like pushing for the next level.
That's a great place to be.
Yeah. So it's like, you're kind of like eager, enthusiastic, like you want to like, let's go bigger. Right. But at the same time, you're
like, things are already good.
You're content.
You're in alignment.
Yeah. But you're content at the same time. Because most like in the States, you see a lot of people that, right, we're chasing something.
Oh yeah.
And we're never going to be satisfied, right? Whether, you find it in food for a little bit, whether you find it through an extreme sport, whether you find it in drink, work or sex or whatever, everybody's kind of like, I gotta fill this void. I don't know how to
be black hole inside me. I just need to like jam more things
right.
into
I don't
it.
know how to be happy, right? So that's my question. How do you be happy?
I'll tell you, everybody listening, here's how to be happy. Well, I guess there's a couple ways I could answer it. Here's the first way that popped into my mind. I think the way to have sustainable happiness throughout your life is basically what you already said. It's like already being balanced, but then you're always progressing. You're always like uncomfortable a little bit, challenging yourself. Because once you get too comfortable, you stop growing and you start stagnating and you start feeling gross because you have so much more potential, but you're squandering it.
Right.
And I've been in that spot where it's like, you're addicted to video games or whatever. You're just not living your best life.
Right.
And there's that voice in the back of your head saying, hey, dude, you shouldn't be doing this so much. You're capable of so much more. You should be pushing yourself a little more. And the longer you ignore it, like the worse it becomes. Like
the louder it gets.
Oh, damn. It's so true. Yeah. But so I think once you get to a point to where you're like pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, pushing yourself a little bit, I think that alone will make you happy. And like doing the thing that is not expedient and that feels good immediately, but something that will take a little more time to accomplish maybe, or requires a little more focus or patience. And then, you'll feel, I don't know, it's like a long-term happiness that you're chasing.
Cool.
So it's like, do I eat Cheetos now? And that, I feel so good. My brain's lighting up. Oh yeah. Or eating a piece of cake. I was a sugar addict too. Eating a piece of cake, like, this is so good. Like it feels great, but then for hours afterward, you feel just kind of like, it's like blah, lethargic. Whereas if I eat like some kale and avocado and whatever,
see,
it's like it's not as pleasurable as the cake immediately, but long term, it's like, I just feel so good. I feel energetic. I feel bright and vibrant. I know what I'm doing is good for my long term health. So it's like,
Yeah.
So that's one way to answer it. I know that was maybe a little convoluted. Here's the other way of answering it. Dude, just be happy. And if somebody with like depression or something to be like, I want to punch this guy in the face. But honestly, it can be that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Why does it have to be so hard?
Well, here's the problem. Everyone is looking for something outside of themselves. So it's like, once I have that position, that high paying job, once I have the car, once I have the girl, once I achieve this, once I have this goal and meet it, then I'll allow myself to be happy. But it's like, dude, once you achieve that thing, the happiness is going to fade off, and then you'll be like, okay, what's next? Because you want to keep progressing.
Right.
So it's like, dude, just enjoy the journey and realize that in every moment you can choose to be happy if you want to be. But here's the problem with that, is most people are not in control of their minds.
Yeah.
So instead of being the master of your mind, a lot of people are the slave to their mind. And so they just have all these like thoughts that are negative and all these ruminations, and they just like bad thought, and they just like latch onto it and like let it grow and fester and become bigger and bigger and bigger in this mental monster until it's like, you've done so many reps of this negative thought. It's like a big muscle, your brain's a muscle. And so all these neural like pathways are just getting stronger and stronger, becoming super highways.
Yeah.
And because your brain wants to take the path of least resistance, it's easier and easier for you to get on this highway. And so if you let it go for too long, it just becomes this thing where it's so hard to break out of, because instead of taking the easy route, you have to consciously redirect your energy and have a machete and like chopping through the jungle, creating a new path that's like, a positive thought or whatever.
It's a great explanation of it.
Yeah, I've done a lot of reading on like neuroscience and psychology and the subconscious and addiction and yada, yada, yada. And, I've gone through all this stuff myself.
Sure. Sure.
And I've, even a year ago, I was I'm not completely different, but I was different in many ways. I didn't have near as much control over myself or whatever.
Well, I feel like, at least in the States, there's a lot of people that struggle with all these things. Mm-hmm. Addictions. I mean, we label the ones that are negative, but just addictions to negative thinking, right?
Oh, yeah.
So many people,
everybody
have that, right? And then, but we don't look at that as like you just see somebody worrying all the time, or see somebody really, getting into the negative type of thoughts, thinking patterns, and it's just like, that's normal.
Yeah.
Even though really, like, you don't have to do that.
Yeah. And not only that, but it's making you sick.
Yeah.
It's making you sick. You're not meant to think that way or be that way. You think a dog is like sitting there thinking of his past mistakes, or he's not thinking of that stuff.
You gonna throw it?
It's like,
you gonna throw it?
Exactly.
Squirrel?
Dude, that dog is squirrel.
You gonna throw it? You gonna throw it?
Mm-hmm.
He threw it.
Yeah. Dude, that dog is living in the moment, man. He's not thinking, And
Which I love your guys' tagline in the business, enjoy, right? Take a moment to be in the moment.
Yes.
In Neon, that was so cool. I love that. Take a moment to be in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. That's also, for anybody who's interested in that is for sale. Nice. We got the neon sign. You want to put it in your, your basement, or
shoot? Maybe we'll have to talk, right?
Dude, yeah, we can talk about it. But yeah, I've become a lot better at monitoring my thoughts, being way more self-aware of the thoughts that I'm having. And if I start having like negative feelings, whether it's about a situation or even other people, or how I feel like I'm being treated or whatever, I will stop. I'll like catch myself thinking it, and I'm like, ooh, that doesn't feel good. I don't want to think this kind of stuff. I'll catch it and I will flip it on its head.
That's awesome.
So like, oh, this person did this thing to me, and I perceive it as being like a slight against me. And then it's like, well, I don't know that, and I don't know what their day was like, yada, yada. And maybe to them that wasn't a slight. This is just how they behave, and they think it's cool with, within their community or like their, group of friends or whatever. And so it's like, you can always find the positive in any situation.
That is a very powerful thing.
Game changer. Dude, seriously. I've never been happier, honestly. And I practice gratitude daily.
Yeah.
I like think about all the things I'm grateful for. Even like having water or running water. It's like, dude, I'm living like a king up in here. I got running water. I go to the grocery store.
I'm laughing because we take these things for granted.
Yeah.
And there are people in our world that literally they spend their whole day just going to get water.
Yes.
And we like are upset that the faucet it's running a little low, like
right.
The pressure's
or I'm
low
like loading a website and I'm like, it's been 2 seconds and it's not loaded yet. What the hell? I've been guilty of that one before.
Oh no, and all these things, yeah, I'm guilty as well. But if you can't like take a step back, then you're just gonna lose yourself to all this stuff. So
yeah, but I think the hardest thing is that everyone is it's like they've been practicing all these thought patterns for so many years that if you want to change and you don't want to be that way anymore, you have to spend a lot of your conscious, focused time and energy actually redirecting your thoughts. It's like you're consciously building like new neural networks within your brain. that are eventually going to become strong, like a muscle that you're working out, like repetitions.
Yeah.
And you got to let the old way of thinking, those old thought patterns that are negative and holding you down, you have to let them atrophy and waste away like a muscle.
Right.
And the only way to let them atrophy is stop giving them power by stop thinking them. Stop. Like if you think it, let it go. Focus on something else.
Right.
Oh, it comes up again. All right, let it go.
Yeah.
And you just keep doing that.
How long have you been taking a pretty active approach in doing that?
I've been kind of dabbling in all this kind of stuff for years, honestly.
Yeah.
But about a year ago, this time last year, I decided to like really, really commit to it. Like I'm going to change who I am. I'm going to change who I am at the core of my being. You know, like I still have like a lot of, like I'm still Ben, you know, I'm still me, but, I went through this phase of maybe like 3 to 6 months, I'd say, where it's like every single day, you know, I didn't have a job for a few months.
Sure.
And I spent every single day where I was building good habits. I realized that I had an addictive personality, and you can't just drop an addiction without substituting something in its place. You know? It's like there's this void in the amount of time you have in the day or whatever. And so I started substituting bad addictions for good addictions. I was like, well, I'm an addict. I'm not going to get to this point of being balanced immediately. Like I need to go from like one extreme to the other because that's the way my brain is currently wired. I think that'll be the quickest path forward to eventually getting to a point where I'm balanced. So I was like, okay, instead of, you know, eating something sugary, I'm going to go take a walk. Or instead of, you know, I don't know, what was I, or like drinking alcohol or doing this, like I'm going to read a book. Or, you know, like building all these like things that I want to become lifelong habits that are really going to facilitate my growth and make me into a better person. So I started doing that just day in, day out, started meditating and started doing like affirmations and mantras and all this stuff and started like looking into like the subconscious and learning about how you can reprogram your brain. Because, you know, 95% of your day you're spent operating off subconscious programs. Like you're not consciously driving your car.
Right.
I'm hardly even consciously having this conversation with you.
Right.
It's almost just like effortlessly flowing out of me because all these ideas are just buried deep into my subconscious through repetition.
Well, and you think like you take a shower, right? You do the same thing almost every time. Mm-hmm. And think if you had to do it consciously on a consistent
Dude, you'd be
basis.
done by like 10 a.m. You're like, man, I'm exhausted. All these decisions I'm making.
Do I start with my left shoulder? Do I start with my arm?
Yeah. But I think for anybody who wants to change their circumstances in life, dude, this is the biggest, this is it. Learn how your subconscious works and learn how to reprogram it. And that's huge.
So what have you read or what pieces did you get into that really helped you?
Yeah, I keep a spreadsheet of all the books I've read. I was like, I want to keep this eventually.
Yeah.
So first of all,
it's like you should start a YouTube channel.
It would almost seem as if I should do something like that. Yeah.
And then you can talk more about this. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Boom. It's happening.
Boom. Here it is. Here we are. So I felt like...
Wait, the books?
The books. You're talking about the books. Yeah. So I felt like I was... So I started with, okay, where do I want to end up? Start with like the end goal in mind.
Yeah.
So I started doing like, okay, what kind of ideal... if I could craft an ideal life for myself, what would that life look like?
Sure.
And so you start doing
what would that look like?
So some of these things you were looking at before, like on the wall.
Sure.
A lot of these like goals, like short-term, long-term goals, stuff like that. I was like, okay, I eventually want to start...
Too early to talk about Benduism?
Let's get to it a little later. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
I'm just messing.
But one of my goals was to like start a podcast. And look, here we are.
Yeah. Boom.
We're doing a podcast, dude. But I feel like there was a lot of... I didn't feel like I was worthy of all these things I wanted. And I think that's another thing that's tripping a lot of people up, and people aren't even aware of it necessarily, not even consciously aware of it. It's like you want all these things. You want the girl, you want the money, you want the fame, success, you want whatever it is you want. Right. But I think a lot of us feel like we don't deserve it.
Sure.
And so even though you consciously, you're like, yeah, logically, like I want this thing, emotionally, deep down in your subconscious, you don't think you deserve it. So even if you got it, you would self-sabotage. Because your subconscious is like, whoa, this isn't right. This isn't like the identity that you would have of ourself, like this ego that you have, like who you are. Like this doesn't fit into like that image. So either you have to change your identity, update your subconscious programs, which is like uncomfortable and hard, or you do the thing where it's like you self-sabotage and you lose the thing that you really want. So I realized that I needed to like build myself up. So I started programming myself by reading books that were basically like a lot of self-help books, really.
Yeah.
I was like, I need the self-help, man.
Well, I mean, those are some of my favorite books. I've always just kind of really enjoyed trying to, grow myself and take things to the next level. So that's cool. I think that's a great thing.
Let's motivate myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those are just, if you ultimately find yourself to be in a very content place, I feel like you can kind of set your sights in the direction you want to go and live a happy life, whatever that is. It doesn't mean, you have to be Steve Jobs. It doesn't mean, you have to be out on the streets, right? Whatever like makes you happy is something I don't think we all take a whole lot of time to actually think about.
Yes.
Right? We're just kind of thrown into it. Like you're in school. It's like, oh, you got to go to the next grade, and then you got to go to high school, and then you got to go to college. And then you're supposed to get a really good job. Otherwise, like, you're not a good person. So it's like you're just going, and it's like, wait, like what so I pick between like 4 things, right? Business, medical school, it's so like predetermined and kind of in these finite categories that it's like, do you ever just stop to think like what actually makes you happy and like what do you really want? So I think that's really cool that you have a lot of your stuff written out, because it makes it tangible, right? You define it, and all of a sudden it's like, yes, this is what I'm going towards. And then maybe as you're going it, like, I don't know if I really wanted that much. I'm going to go in this direction.
Yeah.
So,
but at least having a target to aim for. And yeah, like you're saying, it's like there's this blueprint that's handed to you for like, here's how to live a life in the 21st century in the United States. Yeah, go to college, do this,
you
that,
have
whatever.
to have a car, right? And,
exactly.
It's like it's just maybe breaking away from some of those things probably feels pretty good.
Dude, liberating.
Yeah.
Because, man, we're getting to some good stuff here. Because, I feel like most people, like you said, they just don't stop and think like, or ask themselves, what do I want?
Right.
Don't listen to what my parents tell me I should do. Don't listen to my friends. Don't listen to anyone except for like that voice within me. Like, what do I really want? And man, I think we could have a really different world if people went through that process.
Then you start taking, you take your own accountability. You don't take things out on other people, right? And do you want to share some of those things that you have that you want to do a little bit more?
Like some of the things I want to
like a podcast is one of them, or just like a couple of the dailies, a couple of the longer term, and really long term.
For sure. So
you don't have to go through all of them, but
podcast. I started playing drums when I was 10 years old. I've always wanted to do music.
Is that why you got confused when I said, "Are we going to rock out on the podcast?" This is rocking out. This is rocking out.
Dude, we're rocking, man. We're rocking. Yeah, I want to do music, so I started a little YouTube channel, musical act I call The Zine. It's a music project.
Right on.
And so, I'm doing drumming stuff, and I'm like creating original music, and I made a lot of songs already. I just haven't released many songs, but I have a bunch of EPs already lined up and pretty much ready to go. They just need to be finished. I recently started. What else do I want to do? Cut that thought short. I want to live out of a van. Do the van life stuff. I don't know if I'm going to live out of it for like a long period of time, but at least like when I travel and, hit up like all the national landmarks and like major cities in the US.
That'd be super cool.
Backpack around Europe, Asia, just a backpack.
Backpack around Europe, around Asia. Why those two specific?
I don't know. It just seems like a good spots.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anything you want to see in particular?
No.
Cool.
I just want to have a lot of experiences. I feel like what I really want is I realize I'll never be content with just one thing. Like I'm just not wired to do one thing the rest of my life for like 40 years and then retire. So I want to do a bunch of different things. So I want to start multiple businesses. I want to do like multiple projects. And I always want to I realize about myself, like I like being in control of my life.
Sure.
My schedule, whatever. So like the thought of going back to a 9-to-5 is very unappealing. Even if I really enjoyed the work and the people, just the fact that you have to be there from like all right, this time to this time, every single day, 5 days a week. It's like, God, that's so limiting. And those like your best hours of your day, your most productive hours are in the morning when you're most turned on. And
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to like meet a lot of different people, experience a lot of different cultures, be exposed to new ideas. I don't know, man. I just want to like soak up this sensory experience.
That's very cool. What cultures do you want to what cultures have you already experienced?
So I've done a little bit of international traveling.
Yeah.
My first big trip was in Southeast Asia back at the end of 2014. Went to Singapore. Ron lived there for like 3 months interning.
Sweet.
So visited him at the tail end of his time there.
Yeah.
And then we...
How was that?
It was cool. Dude, Singapore's it's a tiny place. Like you can walk...
Oh, is it really?
The whole span of it in like a couple hours. It's tiny. But it's a major port. So there's like big cargo ships just everywhere surrounding it all the time. It's bonkers.
That's wild.
Yeah. But it's like really...
and it's pretty modern from
it is.
what I know, right? Like they're super into tech and...
Yep. Very clean. Yeah. Very advanced. Like their economy, they're killing it. They're doing a good job.
Cool.
Making the monies. Yeah. So that was cool. And then we went over to Malaysia.
Right on.
Checked out some cool stuff. And then ended in Thailand.
Oh, sweet.
And Thailand was awesome.
Did you get to check out like animals there or do anything? Did you get scuba diving in, anything like that?
I didn't do scuba diving. We did something called free climbing.
Oh, free climbing.
So it's I think it's called free climbing. But basically where you go out on this boat and, you know, this water is it's straight out of a movie. It's so picturesque, like this deep blue. And you go to these little like rock formations jutting out of the water. And you go up there and just nothing, other just get in the water and then you start climbing up. No rope, no harness, nothing, just free climbing.
That's awesome.
And you get to a certain point and then it's like, all right, well, I'm done. I'm going to jump into the water.
Right
So, you know, you're like up in the air 20, 30 feet.
Nice.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I'm jumping into the water.
Right on. Very cool.
That was cool. Staying in little bungalows on this like kind of like tropical seeming island, and it was cool.
That's
awesome. It was
awesome.
very cool.
Did you get some good fruits?
I ate durian in Singapore.
Wait, so do you like durian?
Oh my God, it was terrible. It was bad. It was bad. It's like a rotten onion.
See, that's how I feel about like jackfruit. I tried to do jackfruit, tried to put it in smoothies, you know, froze it, did it fresh, mixed it with like every strong dominant flavor that you can mix it with, and it's like that same thing where it's like, I don't know. But, you know, when people cook jackfruit and, you know, marinate it and do that kind of thing, it's tasty. You're just tasting the marinade. But
I'm trying to think if I've ever had jackfruit.
I feel like jackfruit and durian are very similar.
Okay.
So I've never had durian, but I've heard that like some people either love it or it's like the smell and like.
There are signs in the like public transportation, like the subway and whatnot, in a lot of Asian countries, and Singapore being one of them, that has a little sign where it shows a durian and like. The red, like, no durian. You can't bring a durian on public transportation because it smells so bad. It's so stinky. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if
it's
I'd
pretty
like
gnarly.
durian. I'll definitely try it sometime, but
yeah, you need to. I think it's a worthwhile experience.
Right on.
So that was my Asia trip, and then in Europe. So that was in 2015. I did a Europe trip. I was there for like 60 days.
Oh, cool.
2-month adventure.
Nice.
And went on a sailboat. Met this guy on a website called crewseekers.net.
Crewseekers.net.
Crewseekers,
nice.
yeah. And met this dude who was sailing around the world. He had dual citizenship, like Britain and also Australia.
Nice.
And he just needed some people to help out on the boat, on his 30-foot sailboat. So we met him in Naples, checked out Pompeii, and then sailed down the west coast of Italy. Went to Malta.
That's awesome.
Sailed over to Sicily, Ibiza, partied in Ibiza.
Nice.
And went over to mainland Spain, Barcelona, and then went over to Paris and then Berlin.
That's amazing.
And then flew home. Yeah, so that was quite the expedition. And after experiencing something like that, where you're experiencing so many different cultures, and there were times when I was on the boat, and I literally did not know what day it was. I didn't know if it was a weekday. I didn't know if it was a Wednesday or a Saturday. It's like you just lose track of time when you're that like disconnected.
Sure.
It's like, man, this is so freeing. This is awesome.
That's cool. What was your favorite culture? What were some highlights that you really liked?
Yeah.
What stuck out to you about some of those different cultures?
I think Barcelona was cool. And I'm trying to think, like, is it the culture itself or is it just like the city? But yeah, just like awesome beaches, laid back vibes. I think they even had some like nude beaches there and stuff.
Oh, wow.
You know, they had some clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
And just like the city was just so beautiful. It was awesome. Where did I meet some cool people though? I met cool people everywhere, man. And that's the cool thing is that even though their lifestyle is so different and their, you know, what they think and believe can be so different, it's like there's so many commonalities between all of us. And like the world is not a scary place. But, you know, if you're like constantly plugged into the 24 hours news cycle, you would think like the world is a scary place.
Right.
With all these terrible things happening.
Right.
It's like, no, dude, like you're being programmed to believe the world's a scary place and you should be afraid.
Yes.
You watch the local news and it's like, oh, there's another stabbing and a shooting and a burglary. And it's like, okay, well, did they tell you about like the couple that just had their 50th wedding anniversary or the litter of puppies that was born?
Yeah.
Or, you know, the firefighter that saved the kitten from the tree? Like, are you hearing about that stuff?
No. And for whatever reason, I think that's changing a little bit.
Yeah.
I think news channels are kind of catching on. Viewership's going down a little bit in their,
Good.
you know, right. Fox, for example, I think they do like a lot of like cooking or, you know, they'll have food trucks on there, right? They're trying to get a different vehicle or grab, you know, a little bit different audience spin than, you know, the traditional stabbing or whatever just happened, all the negative stuff. So because I mean, I think I don't watch the news. I think most people I talk to don't watch the news.
That's good.
So like at some point you got to change, right? Because people don't want to. I think they're kind of tired of that.
Yeah.
So what were the books that some of the books that you really liked?
Bringing it back. So some books that really started inspiring me to build the life that I wanted to build. There's this guy, he's an author named, I think I'm going to get his last name right. It's Chris Guillebeau. And he wrote a book called...
Gilbo or Gilbo?
Guillebeau. Guillebeau. I'll put it in the show notes, yeah. But he has a book called The Art of Nonconformity.
Oh, cool. That sounds good.
And he talked about how he created his ideal life where he can travel and he can write and he, you know... He's basically just doing whatever. He's like getting paid to do the things he wants to do.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, what all of us want. It's like we want to get to a point where we can spend our days doing things we want to do and we can get paid to do them. So it's like, dude, win-win. Right. And, you know, you're reading a book like that and it's like, yo, this person did it. I did it. You know, he's giving you all these examples and it's basically saying like, why not you? Why not you? And, you know, just through repetition, just staying with this book for hours reading it. It's like, man, yeah, this is inspiring. Like, yes, why aren't I doing this? Like, what's holding me back from doing this? Right. And it's like, ooh, all these negative thought patterns, all these limiting self-beliefs that I have, all these beliefs I'm not good enough, all these, like, addictions holding me down. Like, oh, man, I need to update Ben. I need to update myself. And so, yeah, that book was really good.
Do you get the updates from, like, Apple? How do you get the like personal update?
The personal update,
the new software.
Dude,
where do you?
It's all manual, dude. It's all manual.
You do a manual download.
You gotta do it yourself. Yeah.
I didn't get the notification for the most recent update.
Mm-hmm. Hey, one of these days we'll have stuff like that.
that is crazy.
Chips implanted and.
Yeah, I mean, then it's like this. Yeah. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. See, I find it interesting though because I don't meet so many people that like can walk around on the edge of a cliff and like have so little fear next to very intense physical situations. Mm-hmm. But then you then wrestle with, which I wrestle with tons of, not inner demons, but just resistance inside. You know what I mean? Because it seems like you're very laid back. You're very like, I'm on a cliff, no big deal. Yeah. You know, so it's like, it's so cool to see where you are now, right? Where, it's like, negative thought, I'm not going to get into that. So, I mean, I guess I kind of, it's a compliment to where you are today, right? Because not many people take that on to, work on you, do your manual software update, right? Yeah. And I can see the intensity as far as like happiness, like always when you're walking around, whenever I can just see it, and you can feel
like a goofy smile on my face.
No, but it's just like vibrancy. It's just life is in you versus there's some people it's like nothing I'm going to say is going to change their day as much as I want to, or much as like like, hey, how's it going? Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing you're gonna say is gonna change them because they're so, into those negative thought patterns and whatnot. I guess I'm a little surprised for you. It just seems like nothing phases you. So I'm surprised to like learn of some of these like inner things that you've been working on to let go of. So I mean, it's cool that you're doing it.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just in general, the way my brain has always been wired, I'm a little more of just like happy-go-lucky, like more so than all my other siblings. And I don't know, I feel like it is easier for me to be positive and be happy. But yeah, there are definitely things that were holding me back. And I think as I started to become unhappy with my life circumstances, it was easy for me to justify getting into like these negative addictions even more as like a coping mechanism. I was like, I've been dealing with stuff it's been so hard to deal with. I feel like I just need to like have an outlet. I need a release right now. And I feel like this is what a lot of people do with their 9-to-5 jobs. They come home at the end of the day. They have all these dreams about things they want to achieve or accomplish or be or do. But it's like, man, I just dealt with like all this bullshit at work. And just crack open a beer, order a pizza. Let's watch some Netflix.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I just need some pleasure right now.
Yeah.
Just to feel good.
Right.
So it's like you get into this vicious cycle to where you're working this job you don't really like that much. And then you get home and you're like, okay, do I want to work for like a few hours doing something really hard, like working on setting up a business or working on a project? Or it's like, dude, I don't feel like doing that. I just want to kick my feet up and chill and give me the drugs that are going to make me feel good right now. Give me the food, give me the drink, give me the TV.
And yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, those I've wrestled with many of them. I think many people, we wrestle with a lot of these things all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it does lead to a general feeling of like unhappiness, dissatisfied, kind of prevalent feelings that, just people, it's like you're saying, it's a negative lifestyle or negative habit that it's just really hard to get out of. Because once you, as you're saying, you got that big pathway in your head already, like you just go to it. Right, I had a tough day. Yeah, I'm going to, whatever, just veg.
Yeah.
So,
and I've noticed as well that it's easier for things to start kind of like compounding in either direction, whether negative or positive. So for instance,
cool.
For me right now in my life, if I'm doing all the right things, like I'm getting at least 8 hours of sleep every night and I'm waking up at like, 8 o'clock and I feel like I'm getting on top of my day and I'm, a little meditation and ride my bike, get a little exercise and I'm eating healthy and I'm reading books and I'm working on personal projects and I'm like, whatever. I'm just doing all the things that I know I need to do in order to make me happy.
Right.
Just in general. If I start slacking in one of those areas, it's a lot easier for me to start slacking in other areas.
Yeah.
And if you keep slacking, eventually you stop doing all these good things.
Right.
And that's when the bad habits start creeping in.
Yep.
And so I think if you're like in this spot right now in your life, for anybody out there, where there's a lot of bad things in your life or perceived bad things, like I don't like my job, and you just eat like garbage and, you drink a lot and whatever. It's so much easier to keep doing all those things. I feel like once you start putting in like a couple good things into your routine, it's a whole lot easier to get other good things and vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, in order for me to like stay elevated, stay at this like higher vibration,
sure,
to get hippie with it, it's like I really need to like focus on maintaining what I have. And then pushing myself a little bit, right? Because like you need to be progressing,
right, in
order to feel, like content. Like, all right, I'm actually making moves. I'm not stagnating. But it definitely takes effort. It takes work to do something like that. So, I even dealt with a lot of laziness. I used to be a lazy dude. I didn't do something unless there were demands placed upon me to do it. Like, you're gonna get A's in school. All right, I'll get A's. You're gonna do this. And
then beyond that, it's like,
yeah, so I never practiced holding myself accountable.
Yeah.
It was always being held accountable to the expectations of other people. So it's like, well, damn, now I need to teach myself how to be accountable to myself.
Yeah.
Like, how do I set goals for myself and then hold myself accountable? And that itself was like a huge thing.
Right. Right.
So it's like there's all these little tiny things. I mean, I could talk for hours about this. Like, okay, let me list all the little tiny things I had to update. But it was so many. So many.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's Well, and it might be there might always be like little things that
Totally.
that you're going to want to work on or get better at, right? Because once you get used to like, I feel good. Mm-hmm. It's like, I can feel a little bit better if I stop doing this, or So I feel like there's always going to be some tweaks or some things that, it's kind of an endless journey.
That'll make life interesting.
Yeah. What are some other books on there? I'm just curious. I'm always fascinated with like what people like to read.
Yeah. So I read The 4-Hour Workweek.
Cool.
Heard of that? I read a book called Do What You Love, The Money Will Follow. I think it was written in like the 80s or 90s. It was awesome.
Cool.
I read some books. I read a book on Elon Musk. He
had an interesting start to his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, he's a wild man. I don't know how he has the energy for all the stuff he does and all the stress. How does he handle all the stress?
Well, what do you mean? Like I feel like you could handle all the stress. It's just having that mentality of like, whatever, you got all this stuff like right here, like, you're just not going to get into it,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you have that mentality where you could, if you wanted to do all those.
I could probably build up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of people, well, especially with entrepreneurship, but just the stress, the worrying, those things really take a toll on you. Mm-hmm. Because there's no, like, he made it, right? Yeah. Sold PayPal, made tons and tons of money. All his net worth is now invested into those 3 companies, Tesla, SpaceX, and what's the other one, Solar City?
Yeah, is he doing like an artificial intelligence company?
Oh, I mean, it's probably more than that.
Solar City, that's like one of his relatives or somebody doing that, and he's like kind of in on that too.
I think so. Yeah, he's involved in all that stuff. But so all his net worth is now in that. So if those things all fail, right? It's like he's screwed. But that's the kind of like balance that you have to have throughout life, right? Yeah, you made it, whatever that means. But then you still got to keep going, right? Yeah. You don't want to live your life like, whatever. Like if you want a really expensive car, like, I got this really expensive car. Well, I'm just going to keep it in the garage. I don't want to like wreck it or like get a scratch on it. It's like, well, what's the point, right?
Dude, I used to be like that.
Yeah.
I used to be that kid where it's like I'd get some awesome stickers. I'd be like, all right, I want to use this at just the right time. So I'm going to hold on to it. And then, as an adult, I'm in my 20s and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't use any of these stickers. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that mentality. I still wrestle with that mentality a little bit. It's like, I'm saving this for the perfect,
perfectionism.
Like, yeah.
Dude, yeah. That was huge for me. Perfectionism and I feel like procrastination kind of go hand in hand as well.
Yeah.
Procrastination, not even starting something because you want to do it right. And you're planning it and like, all right, let me really think this out. You're like, ooh, that's a lot of work if I want to do it the way I'm imagining it as like this picture perfect dream.
Yeah.
So, I'm not even gonna do it.
Right.
I'm not even gonna try.
I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah. And so even with like this podcast, this isn't perfect. I mean, like nothing is perfect. But it feels so good to just finally like it's freeing to just put it out there and be like, dude, it's okay, man. You're gonna get better. Like if you look at like the first Joe Rogan Experience podcast, You'll be like, what am I looking at? This is what is this? This is
right.
This is not great.
Yeah.
Compared to how, the quality that he's doing it now,
right,
the level he's doing it now.
I mean, just the more you do something, you're going to get better and better at it. And I think I told you, I think we talked about this, but something that really helped me, I forget what, I think I read it in a book or maybe heard it from somebody, I don't remember, but there was an experiment going on in class. So the teacher had 2 sets of students, right? One set of students, they were all going to do the same project of making a pot, making a clay pot, right? So one set of students, the teacher went to them and said, you're going to be judged and graded on the perfection of this one pot, right? So if there's a little crack or, whatever it is, it's got to be perfect. Otherwise, your grade is going to fall depending on how many imperfections there are. And so then the other set of students, they said, you're just judged by the quantity of pots you make. Whatever. It doesn't matter if it's like halfway, the hole's closed or, falling over, whatever. Just the quantity of pots you make, that's going to determine if you get an A or not. And so then they let them go through the semester, and the teachers just kind of, not telling them that obviously this is just an experiment, that they really want to see what happens. And but the teachers paying attention. So the people who were just doing the one pot, right, just graded on that, they spent the whole semester researching, spending so much time before they actually even got to the pot making part, to the point where some of them didn't even finish, right? And their pots really didn't look that good. But then the other people, the other set of students who they were supposed to make a pot, they're banging out pots, trying to get them out, each day. They found that group finally actually got to a place where the pots that they were making almost were nearly perfect. And they were making many of them that were perfect, right? So it was just like, don't do any research. Obviously, I'm not saying don't do any research, but there is a sense of just going and doing what it is you want to do. When you're in that place, I think when you line up everything in your head, you have those feelings where it's like, I'm going to do this. Just go do it, That's something that's helped me a lot, because I think a lot of times I can wrestle with, it's not, perfect. It's not right. And it's just like, just go, do it, get better. And as you improve, it's going to get better and better. So
yeah, totally. So it's like, are you going to read a bunch of books on how to drive a car, or are you going to drive the car?
Right. I'll go drive the car.
Yeah, because it's all just theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, good life lessons for both of us.
Yes.
Just do it, man. Just do the thing.
Do the thing. What other books are on that list?
Yeah, let me tell you. Let me tell you some of the books I really liked.
You don't have to go through every one, but I still am.
Anything by Seth Godin is awesome. I read Lynchpin and also Tribes. I started reading Tribes, and I'll tell you about what it's about in a second. But I started reading Tribes, and it wasn't that like a too terribly long of a book, but I didn't put it down until I was done with it. It was like 4.5 hours later. I'm like, and that's a book. It was just so good. I'm like, I can't stop this.
That's awesome.
Every now and then I start reading a book, and I'm like, this is what I'm doing today. This is my day.
Right on.
I don't have as many days like that anymore. That I'm like more busy with projects and stuff.
Sure.
But Seth Godin is awesome.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Seth Godin. I started getting into. I'm mostly like more of a nonfiction guy. I started getting more into fiction. Have you heard of Kurt Vonnegut?
Yeah.
Dude, Kurt Vonnegut is the man. He wrote a book called Slaughterhouse-Five.
Yeah.
So
I've heard of that. What else has he written?
He did that. I also read Cat's Cradle, Breakfast of Champions.
What's Slaughterhouse-Five about?
Slaughterhouse-Five is about basically this U.S. soldier in World War II, and like his experience, and he ends up in Dresden, Germany, and there's like a big bombing, but there's also like some aliens mixed in there too, and like Kurt Vonnegut, he always kind of like writes himself into the story too, kind of like it's weird.
I know that name.
His stuff is really really good. It's almost like schizophrenic,
off the
wall, but like insightful and funny, and just it's like, oh my god, this guy is. I don't know if he's a genius or if he's like crazy, and I think there's a little bit of both.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Good stuff, especially in Breakfast of Champions near the end of the book. I don't want to give it away for people who haven't read it yet. Breakfast of Champions is really good. But there's a point where I'm like, oh my god, this is getting so like meta and just weird. It was getting really good. So he's awesome. I don't like reading a lot of fiction. I used to read a ton of fiction when I was young. I used to love reading books when I was younger.
Yeah.
Until, TV and video games supplanted reading. But as I've gotten back into it, I'm starting to appreciate fiction a little more.
Cool.
I need to find the right authors.
Sure.
I read a book called When, the Scientific Secrets of Perfect Timing.
Cool.
That was a cool one. I read one called The Time Paradox. I read a book called Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk. He's another one of these dudes who's like, Gary V. Like, just do it. Like, post on social media. Like, here's all these other people who did it. It's not hard. Like, just do it. Right. And if you feel like you're not, able to create awesome stuff, just start documenting the process.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just start documenting my journey of becoming this thing I wish to be.
Right.
Right. And just by doing that, it's like you're gaining so much knowledge on like, because one of my things is like, I want to learn how to do video editing and music creation and run a business and like do all this stuff. It's like, dude, start documenting it. It's like you're learning along the way and becoming better. And I read a book called Better Than Before. It's all about habits.
Cool.
Developing good habits. Started reading some financial books. Pretty good.
Right on.
It's like that. Like that's something else that I never quite learned much about.
Yeah.
You know, it's so weird.
That's
We
a
go
good
through
one.
school and we don't learn about finances.
Yeah.
Like, why are we not getting financial education in school?
You would think.
It's unbelievable. And yeah, there's like the conspiracy theory part of me is like, well, there's a reason they're not teaching us that because they don't want us to be good with money because they want us to be like slaves. You know?
Yeah.
It's like in school, they're not teaching you to become a business owner. They're teaching you how to be a good employee.
Right.
Like, here's
right.
the boss, the teacher. There's the boss, the manager. You listen to what they do. You know, they'll give you the grades. You know, please them.
Well, I think education is going to change drastically very soon.
Dude,
I mean, we're kind of already seeing it. Just with, let's call it YouTube University, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are so accustomed to, our generation younger, are so accustomed to like, oh, just go on YouTube and figure it out. I mean, even if the person who is making a video, like let's say it's like not that good or they're not that knowledgeable, like they have something that probably is. And it's like, oh, just pick off that little piece. I'll watch this other video. Oh, this person knows, what they're talking about. And you go to all these different sources, and then it's like, boom. Like, why do you need to go anywhere else? And so that is so cool that we're all sharing in this way, right? Like you have you have an expertise, you share it with somebody else, and then they have an expertise and they share it back, and so it's very cool where the system is still set up where you got to go to school, you got to do all these things. And I think there's a definite good thing about that. I think, there's a time where I didn't like the status quo, and now I'm at a place where I have such appreciation for the status quo that life is. There's nothing wrong with it, but you definitely cannot be an individual without society and without a status quo, right? You can't go your own path if that's what you really want to do without a mainstream. So it's like there's definitely a time where it's like, oh, like screw the status quo, this is terrible, da, 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 da. And I get that, but then it's also like you need that to like if you're gonna go your own path, then if everybody was going their own path, there'd be like no
exactly.
like good feeling about doing that for you for somebody, right? So that's been a newer thing for me to be like, oh, that's cool. Like I'm actually like cool with status quo.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely things I want to change about it, but I do appreciate it and respect it. Like we need this system within which all, we can all operate.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I'm not saying don't change it or improve it or maybe chuck it and start a whole new like status quo thing, but just like a relationship thing in general of, you have to have whatever. Like a lot of people rag on the 9-to-5 thing, the corporate gig, and it's like it wouldn't feel good to like go and do your own entrepreneurship thing if like every single person was doing it and then all of a sudden there was no like 9-to-5 corporate thing,
Maybe. Is it I guess that's just the nonconformists wouldn't feel good about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I feel is what I am. I feel like I am
Right.
a nonconformist.
Right.
I'm just kind of like, because, I used to be a people pleaser and I still
Sure.
am in a lot of ways, although
Sure.
I've mostly gotten rid of that. It was like always meeting the expectations placed upon me and not pushing back and not questioning. And then, my early 20s or even before that, I started questioning, started pushing back.
Right. Right.
It's like, why are things the way they are? Did they have to be this way? And just because things have been this way doesn't mean it's the best way, And so I think for a lot of people, though, it feels good to do what other people are doing because it's validating. It's like there's safety in numbers. You know what I mean?
Sure. So like, let's say everybody was not working for a 9-to-5 company and everybody was like starting their own YouTube channel or doing their own thing. And then all of a sudden that's the new
conformity.
9-to-5. Yeah, that's so then like
honestly,
then you the nonconformist like, oh, I'm not going to do this. This is terrible. I'm going to like create this new thing.
Isn't
you know
it
what
funny?
I mean? So it's just it's all relational that I think sometimes we like lose that sense and it's like, screw this. Like it's and then you just got to step back a little bit and it's like, oh, it's good that that's there because then I can do this and
Yeah. And I never rip on people for having a 9-to-5 job.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying
Because
directly, because I've felt that way myself many times, and it's just kind of a newer perspective where it's like, no, it's actually good. That's just me. So
yeah, totally. Yeah, we need those people.
So
they're doing good work,
right?
Especially if you have like a lot of responsibilities in life. So let's say you you have a kid, or you have a lot of debt, school loans, whatever.
Right.
Or you have a mortgage on a house or whatever. It's like I don't have any of that stuff, thankfully.
Yeah.
And so it allows me the freedom. Like I can opt out of the 9-to-5.
Right.
Because I can live very frugally and I don't need a lot of money to get by.
Right.
So like I understand how privileged I am.
Yeah.
And like how #blessed I really am.
Nice.
Honestly, man, I am so grateful. Like I'm truly grateful. And even when I was talking before about how I spent this long period of time where I was like updating all the programs in my mind.
Sure.
A lot of people don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
If you have a job and you have kids to feed and you've like just the worries of modern, like just your day-to-day life.
Right,
like you're not sitting there like, let me like really sit here and just sit here in silence for hours straight and get really introspective and try to pull apart my psyche and try to understand myself better and then like how I can improve myself. And like ain't nobody got time for that.
Right.
Right.
Right. Especially if a baby's crying or, all those kinds of things. So
I'm, dude, so privileged, honestly, to be able to have had the opportunity to do something like that.
Right.
And then to doing what I'm doing right now, like doing this podcast with a friend and just hanging out and like pursuing my dreams.
Well, so I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Given that if you're on the edge of a cliff diving in Thailand, whatever, it doesn't seem like some of those physical things phase you. Battled some demons, maybe, right? Mm-hmm. Gotten introspective. What are your thoughts on death?
Not afraid of it.
Yeah,
honestly,
I wouldn't think that you would be.
No, not afraid, dude. I think this is also one of the biggest things that is holding people back in a lot of ways is the fear of death. I do not fear death. So, and here's the reason why. I guess it's probably a couple things. So, number one, I've had a couple near-death experiences. You
just can't say. I've had a couple of near-death experiences.
Whatever.
Okay, so let's move on.
I'll tell you the big one. Here's the biggest one. And this one was a wake-up call for me. I was at a music festival back in July of 2017 with a couple friends. First, like legit music festival where you're like camping and all that good stuff. And we have a campsite, and we had the Enjoy tent there, like little 10x10 tent that was set up. And this wasn't just like some $60 or
just for you guys to hang out, or
just for us to like have just a canopy.
Yeah.
So just like a little communal area. And this wasn't like a $60 or $80 little Coleman chintzy tent. This was like a legit $300 tent. Like it's sturdy, well built.
Yeah.
Can withstand winds, whatever. And my buddy was setting up a hammock, and so he sets it up, and he sits in it. And as soon as he sits in it, he like looks over at one of the trees. He's like, "Wait a minute, is this tree dead?" And as soon as he says that, like I'm sitting in a chair, like under the canopy, and I look over at it, and I just see this tree just going, just coming right down on top of me. And it's almost like it's happening in slow motion, but you don't even have enough time to react or like really do anything about it. It's just like, whoa, what's happening? And then bam, it's on top of you. And so this tree fell directly on top of me.
Holy smokes.
And the couple things that saved me was that canopy was legit. So it took the brunt of the tree. And then there was also a table that was just right at knee height that I was sitting in front of.
Yeah. Oh, so
and
that was
also
like a prop.
fell on the table, but like the lawn chair I was sitting under was completely mangled.
Jeez.
And so like I was pinned. I couldn't even move. And I'd look out and I see out, and there's like the guy in the campsite right next to us. And he's just standing there just like this, like shocked. And I just say, help. And then he's like, it snaps him out of it, and he comes over, and then like 30 people come out from like all the neighboring campsites.
Yeah,
they all come over, and they all pick this tree up off of the campsite, and like I'm able to get out from under there. And dude, miraculous. I didn't even have a scratch on me.
Holy
But I was pinned. I couldn't move.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have killed me. It could have like disfigured my face. I could be like,
I mean,
like
tree.
all the twisted metal from the tent, and like,
oh yeah.
It could have been so
Well, I mean,
bad.
one of those metal rods goes through, your chest, all that stuff, or
I get knocked in the head hard.
I mean, just a tree falling in general. I mean, that would be enough to.
So after this happened, we set up a little tarp over our little campsite because it was like raining like torrential downpour too. And I'm sitting there in my tent all by myself after this happened, and I'm playing some Super Mario Run on my phone. Really good game, fun, a lot of fun. Addictive though. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself like, oh my god, dude, I could be dead right now.
Yeah.
And that could just be it. Like, oh, I just died at a music festival. A tree fell on me. That's how I died. Okay, what did I do with my life? What the things that I really desire? Did I pursue them? Like really pursue them? Did I go after what I wanted? And the answer was no. Even like music is like, dude, I've always wanted to like be a musician and like tour the world as a drummer in a band and do all this stuff, and I never pursued it. And I could be dead right now, at the age of 26 or however old I was.
Right.
And so moments like that, it's like, damn, dude, like do not take. Like, each day is precious, man. You never know when you're just going to get blindsided and bam, you're dead.
Yeah.
Or, you're disfigured or paralyzed or whatever. Things could just radically change in an instant. So I've had some near-death experiences that kind of woke me up. And then I've also had maybe dozens. Maybe that's a little too much, but at least a dozen psychological deaths from taking drugs.
Oh, gotcha.
And that's probably the biggest one, honestly.
Yeah.
Dude, you take high doses enough of certain drugs like mushrooms or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you're leaving your body. You're like, you are one with everything. Your ego is dissolved. Ben, as like the identity of Ben is just like gone. And you feel like your soul is being like pulled out of your body.
Seriously?
And it's like, oh my God, I'm dying. Like, this is it. I'm leaving. I'm in the other realm. I'm in this like other side. So I feel like I've already passed over multiple times. And so I feel like taking psychedelics is just like practice for death. So a lot of people who have like terminal cancer diagnoses or whatever, they have some terminal illness that's going to kill them. If they take like mushrooms or LSD or ecstasy, like MDMA or something like that, a lot of times after just one experience, they're like, you know what? I'm okay with dying. I'm at peace with the thought of dying.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where I'm at. I'm at peace with it, dude. Like, I'm not scared of it. And here's another reason is I don't have any beliefs about what's happening when I die. I don't think I'm going to go to hell. I don't think I'm going to go to heaven. I don't know what to think. And I feel like a lot of people are also so uncomfortable with the uncertainty of what's going to happen that they need the certainty. Otherwise, they feel like, they need the hope for like some afterlife and whatever. And I don't have any of that.
Right.
And once you are able to get rid of that, dude, liberation.
Oh, sure.
Ultimate freedom. Like, I'm not afraid of anything. I don't know what's happening. I'm not going to pretend like I do. So be it. Bring it on. Like, I don't want it yet. I'm going to live till 120. But when it's time, like, dude, hands up.
Yeah.
Roller coaster ride.
How do you want to go? Or like, I mean,
I want to skydive with no parachute.
Oh yeah? For real?
No.
Well, I mean, just like generally speaking, like,
I think I want to die.
Not that you need to like plan out the specific.
Yeah.
It's at this moment that.
Yeah. I could see dying in a like an unexpected way.
Yeah.
And I think I'd be okay with that. Or I could see dying just like, I had a really good life. I did all the things I wanted to do, and now I'm just like in a bed, and it's like, just my spirit's leaving. The lights are going dim. I think that's probably the best way to go. Just like peaceful setting with some close friends and family around you.
Yeah.
People that you care about.
Sure.
Yeah. But honestly, I don't think about death. Like, I'm not afraid of death.
Yeah.
Other than like, when you're riding your bike and it's like, all right, don't fall down and let this car run you over behind you. I still have like those thoughts, like basic survival instincts.
That's very normal for, right? Yeah, survival instincts.
What about yourself?
I've kind of, I'm actually very excited for death when that happens. I really want to do it whenever that experience comes. I still want to live my life and have a really, great life. There's tons that I want to do. But then I'm also really excited for whenever that moment. Because for me, it's kind of like the next, I think I really like the uncertainty. I have a good expectation of what I think would happen. But I think then the other thing too, it'll still be really cool, but like, to me, death is like similar to what you were talking about earlier, right? When people have a lot of resistance, like, I don't want to jump out of this plane, and then and you do it, and it's like, oh, this is so cool. So death is kind of similar. Like, it's very intense for people who have like very resistant thoughts, like, I don't want to die, and it's like, oh, it's amazing. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're like pretty chill, it's like, it's, I don't want it to be like, it's okay. I want it to be like really, really cool.
Yeah.
Because
I definitely want to be like present, like fully present for my death.
I do too.
Like, I want to soak in the experience.
100%. And I'm not sure. I think I would want to, like, I don't know, do something kind of like go on my own terms. Make peace with the rest of my life. Whether I would assume I'd probably have children at that point, and make sure everybody's in a good place. Say goodbyes to everybody, and I'm assuming I'm probably pretty old, and it's like I'm just gonna go do my thing, and I don't know, maybe other people are there or not. I don't know, but I would just want to. I don't know if I'd want to skydive. I've thought about that without a parachute. But something where it's definitely like I'm conscious. I would be really upset if I was not conscious.
I don't want to die while I'm sleeping.
Because
I die while I'm awake.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest experiences, right? Where,
dude, you're having a massive DMT trip.
Right, like your soul comes into this body, and I think there's no really way to prove this, but I want to say like your soul comes into this body on the acceptance that it can leave whenever it wants, right? So that's why you get tired. It's not that your body can't handle things. It's more so that your soul like, that's a little too much of this physical place for me. You're going to be tired and we're going to sleep, or you like pass out, or, all these things where there's certain pain points that your soul gets, it's heavy to experience all this stuff and to, run and exert your body. It's not necessarily your body. Your body's just a whatever. It can process things and do all those things, but
just a vessel.
It's just the vessel, right? But your soul is the one that's like, there's only so much like physical that I really want to experience. It's like enough where it's like it's super cool and it's fun, but then it's like it's a little too much. I'm gonna back it off. So when your soul just is finally like free outside of this vessel, then it's like amazing. But again, it's all relational, right? It's only amazing because you were, I don't want to say trapped in your body, but you were in this body experiencing physical, and then all of a sudden you're free, and then it's like, I want to do it again.
And maybe you will. You reincarnate.
Yeah. I would hope so. I definitely get into that. So it's like, you live. I mean, there's so many different ways to the universe, realities, all these different things. There's so many ways to think about it where it's like there's so many of just this life that is being lived, right? Every moment there's a decision being made. So, as far as like alternate realities. Yeah. I mean, it's all there. I mean, our minds can't fathom like what the universe or what God sees.
Yes. We're like ants trying to comprehend.
Yeah. It's just no, it's not. It's fun to like kind of think about or whatever, but as far as
we don't have the hardware or the software capable of even like processing and understanding what's happening.
But we're not supposed to. That wasn't the point, right? Like we came from that, and it's like we wanted to feel this like very individualistic. Yeah, we wanted to forget.
Okay, so you're talking about some stuff that I've been like watching a lot of videos on recently, where. So what are your thoughts on God and like where we come from and all that? Do you believe that we are all God? Like the universe is just a part of God and we are all like, do you think God like chose to like divide itself off into like separate beings that could experience it and like intentionally forgot? Like what do you believe is actually happening?
So I love I don't know if you've ever listened to like Alan Watts. Some of his stuff is really cool where he talks about like a universe and it like grows and grows and people are kind of like the fruit of the universe, right? Where a tree grows apples, an apple tree, right? Fruits, and you have apples. A universe in the same sense is like consciousness that's growing and growing and growing, and then all of a sudden people, right? Or, maybe it's something bigger or whatever. But I very much feel that the universe or God, like everything is God. And then, like another way to think about it is, this was in a book. It's called The Parable of the Sun, right? Like if you hold a candle next to the sun, you can't experience fire. Like you can't experience the sun, or I mean, you can't experience the little candle, right? It's like, what am I? It's like, oh, you want to know what you are? Like, go out into the darkness, right? Because you're not going to be able to feel what it is to be God or to be consciousness. It's tough for people to say like experience being God because like we're not worthy. It's all this stuff, but let's just call it consciousness, right? It's you want to experience this thing that is consciousness. You have to leave that place. You have to forget all that, and then you kind of go out into the world where you're going to mix it up with things that don't feel good, because then the only way to feel good or to be able to experience good feelings, happiness, is to have things that are not good. And then it's kind of a game where it's it's like, oh, I don't feel good. I feel good. I'm good. All right, I'm going to dip my toe in. We'll see. I don't feel good. This is terrible. And how long you experience negative things is how we're living our lives, right? It's up to you. You're driving that ship. It's not God holding you back or like somebody else plotting against you or whatever. It's just it's
you
all
holding yourself back.
Yeah, it's all on you. But I think we also have these very idealistic ways of life where it's like, oh, somebody in a third world country, we need to like go like save them, and it's like that's what they came to experience. Maybe, quite frankly, in some of these third world countries, people are probably 10 times happier than people are in the States, right? And we supposedly have all this stuff, all this technology. Why aren't we happier, right? We should be. But we have these ideologies where, it's like, oh, if you don't have technology, you don't have computers, right? You don't have running water, right? You're probably living so low that, you should be depressed and in despair. And quite frankly, if, in some places, right, it's kind of like you just go around, find food, and it's as long as you can find food, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you are happy. So it's like, I think taking a step back, life's a game.
That's how I like to view it too.
It's just about consciousness, trying to figure out who you are. And the other thing I think it's really fun is what Alan Watts says. It's like the universe is a dog trying to catch its tail. And then you catch your tail and you realize it's yourself. Oh, it's like, then you let go, but it's like, oh, there's the tail. I'm going to keep running and trying to. So it's just this game. And it's like, I think, where you talked about earlier, where people are always trying to fill this void of, I need this job, or I need this really great car or spouse or house, all these great things to kind of fill this void. I think there's also this deeper thing of I need to be enlightened, or like I need to find enlightenment, right? And it's like you're just in this place. Like, no, like it's this, you can have very enlightened moments, right? And you keep working your way up, but you're still going to, like, as far as being here, like you're still going to experience negative thoughts. You're still going to experience what we call the lesser, just because it's all part of the fun. It's part of the game, right? It's not about finding yourself in this place where it's like, oh, I'm at peace.
Just total bliss.
Total bliss. I mean, if you want to be that, then, just whatever, die. Like go back home. But then it's going to be boring because it's just, there's no experience there. And I think that's a tough thing for people to like come to grips with, which I don't want to necessarily like touch that for other people, but for myself, it's like everybody's kind of chasing eternity, and that's great. But like, think about no time, no relativity. What you think is good is just like, it just
is what it is.
It just is. So it's like all of a sudden it's like, well, I want to go like experience like what it is to be good. Well, you need
bad to understand what good is.
Yeah.
So you think we choose? Do you think we choose the bodies and like the time that we're born into and all that good stuff? Like we get to choose the experience we want to have. Nice. You know what? I'm very open-minded. I don't 100% believe that, but I am like coming more and more around to that idea.
Yeah.
like it just kind of resonates with me a little bit. Like, okay. And I don't know if it's just because I like that idea, I like that thought, or if it's because like, no, like viscerally that makes sense. Yes, that's what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's really big implications, right? Like, why would somebody choose terrible lives that, abuse or all these potential different things? And
yeah.
So I don't necessarily say that because, then people get fired up. It's like, well, why? You
I didn't want that to happen to me, and you're saying I chose this, and it's like, oh, yeah.
Right. So sense. You got to come to your own beliefs about life. But I think there is a choice of like, hey, I can have life experience in this way. And then really, like, as a soul, you're trying to work out certain feelings or certain things that you want to experience in life, through life itself. That's all it is. Working life out through life. And, let's say there is I've had not great things happen to me, but relatively speaking, there are a lot worse things that, I could experience. But sometimes, let's look at somebody like Jesus, right? Mm-hmm. Went through one of the most horrible things, a public crucifixion. People 1 week before loved him, and then all of a sudden the next week, like, absolutely hated the person to the point where they're going to torture him in public and kill him on a cross. And being able to like say like, hey, like, I have love for these people. That's a powerful thing.
Power move.
Yeah, I mean, that's
as he's dying. Well, like, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Right.
Forgive them.
Just to experience that as like a soul being able to like forgive somebody for like those things that they did. Like that's pure love right there. Mm-hmm. So I mean, sometimes to have some of these, to experience some of these really, really good things, sometimes like some negative things. And again, for people going through those, like, just to call something a negative thing is I don't want to say ignorant, but like making light of there's some really messed up situations that happen in there. Mm-hmm. So
I also think a lot of the bad things that happen to us are some of the best things that happen to us, as far as personal evolution and growth and like kindness and understanding and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I at some point it's hard to, some of the things that happened to me, it's hard to like know, like, at first I said that was a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Now looking back, like, that was the best thing, because it catapulted everything else for me to go in this direction.
It was the catalyst.
And it's like, how do you know like what is good and what is bad at the end of the day?
Yes.
So I think we just, as people, we kind of get to a point where we're very black and white about everything. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, things are gray and things are...
Dude, nothing is black and white.
Yeah.
Everything is shades of gray.
Yeah. Yeah. Where it's like...
It's like, how do I want to perceive this thing that happened? Which is why I've been like making the decision, like, I want to perceive things as being good. Maybe that's not the best approach, because maybe that's preventing me from growing in a way that if I perceived it as bad, maybe I would work harder to like overcome that situation. So maybe it's holding me back in a way.
Yeah.
By like being so grateful and just like joyful and whatever. So yeah, man, these are good questions.
What do you think as far as the universe and God? What's your perspective?
I like the idea that we are all one. Like, that just makes sense, right? Like so it seems like right now there's a separation between me and you. It seems like I'm separate from this desk. I'm separate from whatever, from you. But that's just an illusion. And especially once you take psychedelics, you understand that is an illusion. It's like your entire brain is lit up and turned on, and you're processing reality with a whole new filter that you've never perceived reality with. And it feels like this is the true reality. Now, just because it feels that way doesn't mean it is true.
Right.
But it feels like it. And it feels like, I've had moments where I felt like I was God. Where it's like you're almost like buzzing like out of your body. And it's like, I am God right now. Like, I get it. I got the download.
Yeah.
Like, I understand.
I got the download.
I mean, honestly. And so I don't know. I like the idea that we're all like kind of reincarnating and like choosing to have these experiences in order to learn something that we can't learn in our other form. But I feel like it's all just layers. So it's like, this is one layer of reality, and then it's like the next layer where we came from, and that there's like another layer and another layer, but it's all still like one entity or one.
Yeah.
It's all just still one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's hard to like really put these things into language because words are so limiting. But I think that's what I'm not really sticking behind that too much, because I'm always like kind of updating my beliefs and
I think that's a great way to live life. Like have opinions, have beliefs, but like do it in like a very light way where like you can have a conversation with somebody. I love to have conversations with people that are open, even if it's something who like has a very different viewpoint from me. Like I kind of want that more so because some cool idea is going to come out of it, or like something I'm going to learn from you is there. But then most of the time when we have any type of conversation related to politics, religion, beliefs, it's like immediate shutdown and like judgment and like, no, this is the way. And it's like,
right.
Like, I don't want to talk. Like, okay, you keep doing your thing. You look happy enough. I mean, that's sarcasm, but it's just like, no, like I don't want to. Like you go do your thing, you do you, I'll do me, and it's sad that we can't have more open conversations about things, because it doesn't mean somebody else's beliefs are wrong from mine, or mine are wrong, whatever. But the cool thing is when very different viewpoints come together, and it's like, well, how do both of these work together? And then some new idea happens, or some new thing that would not have happened otherwise comes out of that. Like, that's cool. And it's like, I want to go to that next. Forget what I believed 5 minutes ago. Like that was dumb. Now I'm over here.
Right.
It's like the next thing. So I think that's a beautiful way to live life, where it's like, you have your opinions, but it's light, and it's like
loosely held opinions.
I like it.
Yeah, man. That's the way to be.
Opinions and beliefs, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely stand for something and be a part of something, but like, be okay to...
Yeah, you can be wrong, and maybe in a couple of years be like, oh yeah, who I used to be and what I used to believe and think and do, that doesn't really jive with me. Like even me, like I look back at my past and some of the actions I took, or things I thought or did, it's like, ooh, no, I wouldn't want to do that stuff now.
Right.
It's like, dude, we're always learning and growing and becoming better.
What is your one key to learning, or given everything you've said tonight, what is your like one thing that like really helps you to make these changes that you're making? Do you think?
What helps me?
Because you're
probably just being open-minded and just realizing that I have a lot of blind spots in my reasoning, in my thinking, and like a lot of things that I believe to be true aren't true.
Yeah.
And most people don't walk around thinking that. Most people, I mean, I don't want to make generalizations. A lot of people walk around, thinking like, yep, I support the right political party. I have the right religion. I have the right beliefs about this and that and the other. And it's like, dude, do you though?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know that?
Right.
Like, how do you know?
Right.
Because unless you're experiencing it firsthand, and even then, our own like memory of experiences is faulty. It's like you can't even trust your own brain to remember something properly, dude.
I'm glad you see that. Not many people see that.
No. Well, it's like there's like all these. It's like even in court cases, they can make people remember a car that wasn't there. It's like you can plant memories in people's brains. It's
Inception.
Like, dude, exactly. You can do Inception on people while they're awake. They don't have to be dreaming.
Right. No, it is very true. I mean,
once you realize that, it's like, dude, how can I believe anything I believe to be real?
Right.
Is actually true or real?
Right.
So it's like, dude, don't take life so seriously.
Yeah.
Take it easy. Have fun, man. So.
Dig it.
Damn, dude, we've been getting some deep, awesome stuff. This was not the direction I saw it going.
Really?
I was seeing it more as like entrepreneurial.
Oh, cool.
But no, this has been great. This has been fantastic. I have a few questions to ask you.
Oh, no.
Before we get to that.
I don't do questions.
Oh, well, you're going to now. It's like you're talking to a police officer. I don't answer questions. Nope. That's how I deal with police. Taking my, plead the fifth?
Plead the fifth, yep.
Just to get a little more background.
Sure.
Just real quick before we get into these questions. So you have you own a smoothie shop. You also have a little cart, all that good stuff. Before you got into starting your own business with BanaSun, what was it, like what made you want to leave the 9 to 5 world?
Good question. I was in a really good place with, I was in the financial world. I was with a team doing wealth management. They made me a partner at an early age. So legitimately, I thought I was going to retire there. And one of the last clients that I brought on, she kind of looked at me and she was like, are you going to leave? I was like, where did that come from? Like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, like, I'm not, like, this is a great gig. And it was a really good thing. But I think as I was making, so, we're talking about like what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. Some of, like, I wasn't feeling great health-wise. The other thing I kind of think about too is like when you go through, let's call it negative situations or, stuff that when you're done with something, just kind of be done with it. So there was, that's kind of how I view it. So I don't get too much into it other than, I kind of wasn't feeling good. So I made a lot of personal changes, revamped the diet, changed a lot of things. And ultimately one of the things I gravitated towards was making smoothies from fresh, natural, organic ingredients. And then for me, that was one of the things that really like energy through the roof, feeling incredible, doing fitness all the time, sometimes running twice a day, all those great things. So it's just like happiness overload. And it's like, oh, I feel incredible. It's like, oh, this is amazing. And it's like, I felt like I was just like, I didn't realize it, like just so lethargic or like unhappy. I don't want to say necessarily unhappy, but just like, it was like I was maybe off. And then I only say that because I was like, wow.
You're elevated so
yeah,
far.
I'm like on. And just doing things like yoga, making meditation a regular practice. So, really starting to, experience or be more aware of like what's going on internally. Yes. I think I've always been very kind of, what did you say? Introspective.
Introspective.
Yeah. Always been very introspective and just kind of like paying attention to like how I feel in certain situations, like what kind of like vibes with me, what doesn't. And having that, I've always been interested in, taking things to the next level, always wanting to pursue the next thing for me and kind of manifest the whatever my full potential. I've always like had that, like when I was a little kid in school, it was like, what was one word to describe you? I would always say potential. It was like, people would like make fun of me. It's like, oh, you're going to say potential again? And it's like, it was like potential. Yeah. Like I don't know like why that's such a big thing other than it's like, I'm so excited about the next step for me, for what's possible and for like everybody. Like I always want to see people like get to whatever their best is. So like all these things were changing, and then I started, which, changing career was not one of those things like on top of mind. And as I was like feeling better and better, like just starting to get like little bits of inspiration of taking my life in a different direction, where like one of the experiences was taking a drive down to, we were going on vacation. So it was about a 10 to 12 hour drive down to, we live in Cincinnati, Ohio, so everybody vacations to Hilton Head Island, right? It's like everybody, that's like the place to go for whatever, I don't know why it is. But so I was meeting my sister's family down there in this, 10 to 12 hour drive. I flipped on some music and just windows down and like, it's like a 20-minute drive. Because the whole time I was just like, all these inspirations and different things of taking my life in a different direction were like hitting me. It was like, oh my God, this is incredible. It's like, wait, what? Like we can
seeing visions.
Yeah. Like just like I could do this, this is real for me. And all of a sudden then it's like, then I didn't know what to like do as far as how do you process that? Like, am I supposed to like just quit my job and go do this thing? Or like what, what's the deal here? So there was actually a long period of time of me kind of like maybe not wrestling, but trying to just process like what was happening. And, I tried to read a little bit, talk a little bit with friends and stuff. But really like when you're going through something, it's like, you got to understand it for you. You got to process it yourself. So like, do you make the right decision or wrong decision? I don't know. Like, should I have not left or should I have waited longer? Maybe, I don't know. But a lot of the things that have happened like everything happened like how it was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just some of the ideas that have come to me, some of the things that are like lined up for me now. It's like, okay, this is like where I'm supposed to go, which is like, I don't, and I left on good terms. It probably took about 1.5 years to leave. And I was like, me leaving is not like a recognition that this is like not a good thing. Like, it's just like all of a sudden this other thing is like calling me so intensely. I have to go toward this. I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe it's nothing at all, but it's like I have to walk in this direction. And so I really feel like entrepreneurship is such a, it's not what people think it is, where it's kind of like you just go walk into this field. Like you have this feeling like, oh, this is going to be really fun. And you just follow that. And you're kind of like walking into a field, and then all of a sudden you stumble onto like what's really there for you. But now that point of you leaving or you starting to walk in that direction, and when you actually like find your purpose, so to speak, that could be a really long time. So it's like entrepreneurship doesn't work well for our society right now of kind of instant gratification, which is social media and all these things where, or even, you know, games on your phone where it's like, okay, that's really, okay. I'm gonna,
Uber Eats, we have food right now.
Food here. Is the Uber here yet? Like, I don't want to... You know, all these things of how our society is. Entrepreneurship is kind of like, I want to say like that, maybe not old school thing, but it's just like the older way of maybe how things work. Because I think there is something to be said for like having things instantly and doing, like, that's a great thing. Right? I don't want to wait 30 seconds for the internet page to load, right?
Do not take me back to those days.
But, you know, then there's this thing, let's call it life. We'll say that it's called life, where it is a fun process. And it's going to unfold. It's not going to be instant. Maybe it does happen instantly for some people where like you start a company and everything's there and it's great and it's fine and you're making whatever money and having people involved in it and all this stuff. That's great. But then I think for a lot of people, it's going to be this journey of kind of like, okay, that's really fun. Oh, here's a little bit more here. Oh, okay, this feels good. And it's just like bit by bit, this journey, because at the end of the day, like somebody had said it to me of, you know, if you're going on vacation, you're going to start out at a destination, but your final destination is home. So like, most of us view it like, why even go on vacation, right? Why not just like go home? Just stay home, right? Because that's what we all want. It's like, I really want this car.
I want the end result.
I want the end result now. And it's like, well, like, what's the point of going on vacation, right? You want to experience some food, right? You want to go see different things. You want to like go, it's like dancing, right? Why go onto the dance floor if at the end of the song you're going to sit down?
Dude, there's this sweet, that makes me think of this Alan Watts quote, where he's like, he said basically it's something very similar to where, you know, you don't go to see a symphony perform, and it's like the goal is just like, all right, let's just be done with it, let's accomplish it, let's achieve it. Otherwise, you just play one quick note and be like, all right, see ya. It's like, no, dude, you're there for the experience, you're there for the journey, and it's like that's what life is. It's like you were supposed to like dance while the music was playing. You're supposed to like enjoy it and experience it and have fun and that's a great way of viewing life.
Yeah, and so that's kind of been my mentality of just, I really want to have an incredible experience, and I want to continue to develop myself. And so like some of the things like that have happened internally, I can't really like show it to anybody other than like, it's like, I feel incredible, and like things are growing and getting better and better inside. And then I'm hoping at some point too that all
translate to the external world.
Right, yeah, because I mean there are things like systems and things where like things have to get right, paying stuff and bills and all that stuff.
Bills. No, that's right.
No, but I mean,
exist.
You know, like all that stuff is great and it's there too. But like what's happening inside, like I know that I'm headed in the right direction for me. So,
dude, it is so awesome to hear that.
Yeah,
I'm happy for you, man.
Thank you.
Really great.
Yeah,
because anyone that I meet, so it's people like you who are all about just like becoming better, improving, like self-development. And it's like this journey and this process that's never over. You know, it's you're going to get better, and like you finally get to this point that you imagined you getting to. And it's like, all right, well, how can I become even better now?
Right.
It's like playing a video game,
Right.
where there's no cap on your characters,
Right.
like how many levels up you can go.
Yeah. Well, and I think it came from a not great experience when I was younger, and one of those things, I was working really hard to play competitive golf, and so it requires a lot of time, by yourself, just practicing, because golf is not really a team sport. There are golf teams and different things, and I was certainly on that, and you definitely kind of have to come together, but for the most part, it is, you got to work your tail off, work on your swing, certain different areas and all that stuff. And like one of those things, like I had this goal in my head to shoot a certain score or to like play at a certain level in a tournament, and finally happened. And I had been working towards it, and it happened. And I just felt so empty. I was like, what the hell? This is like exactly what I wanted. This is everything I was working for. And I was a teenager. I felt so empty. I literally, like, I went home that night and I just started crying. Like, I just felt so empty. And I was like, this makes zero sense. Everything that I've been building towards, working day after day, it's here. I have it. I did it. And it's like, what?
Yeah. What a letdown.
So, like, that was really incredible experience, especially to have at a certain age where it's like, I guess I'm just not going to waste I'm just going to not waste energy on certain things like that. Now, it does happen from time to time of like kind of getting caught up into that. And entrepreneurship is kind of one of those things. It's like, once my company's, big enough, then it's going to be great. And it's like, well, you're still going to have problems. You're still going to have stuff that you need to work through or whatever. And it's just, those are kind of the mind games that, like you're saying, you just have to be very aware of what's going on inside so that you pump energy into the good thoughts and the good thought patterns and habits versus, feeding and building up the self-defeating ones.
Yeah.
So.
Well said, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Hey,
that's inspiring. Inspiration right here.
Hey, that came from you. I love what you're saying. You're building the muscle of the bad ones or the good ones. You choose, But
yeah, man, dude. Whatever you're doing, just enjoy the process.
Right on.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you don't enjoy the process and it's all to achieve some end goal, mistake.
Yikes.
Mistake. Hey, I've been there, man. I've been there so many times.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't fulfilling. Like, I got this hole and I'm still trying to jam it with things, but it's like, it's not quite working.
Right. Well, and it's funny because it kind of hit me earlier today again. A lot of people view Steve Jobs. What an incredible man. He dropped out of college. He had the foresight to drop out, just kind of do different things, go to a calligraphy class and learn fonts and all that, all these dots kind of connected to this incredible career and incredible companies that he built. Right. And so just, I think he was worth $7 billion towards the end. And the thing that I saw today, somebody posted it, and I don't know how they came across it, but it was like the last 5 things that Steve Jobs said. And it was a picture of him like when he was incredibly frail after like this was at the very end of the battle with pancreatic cancer. And it was just like, I'm worth $7 billion and all this money. That's great. But facing imminent death, none of that matters. Whether you drive a $300,000 or $100,000 car or a car that, whatever, if it gets you from A to B, great. Right. And then like some of the other things where, as far as if you can have somebody work for you in a company, that's really cool. And then they make your life easier. Great. You can't pay anybody to take pancreatic cancer outside of you. So like, choose the food that you want to eat. That doesn't necessarily mean you got to get fanatical and like only eat certain types of food because you think that's good. But
only go to BanaSun, get the smoothies.
Right. It's a slippery
slope. Probably not a bad idea though.
Well, hey, hopefully, yeah. It's a slippery slope in the health world. So I choose my words wisely because it's easy to get fanatical and like, this is the only good thing I can eat. And it's like, well, it's like it's a balance. You know what I mean? Because if you hate eating a kale salad and you only eat a kale salad, then like, what's the point? Yeah. You know what I mean? You are going to die someday. So
enjoy yourself a little bit.
Right. I mean, whatever that is, like whether you die 50 years from now or 10 years from now, like whatever enjoyment is to you, like do it, but it's going to be something that is keeping you in balance. It's not going to be something that you're like falling on the ground. But it was just, it was so kind of like one of those things that caught me by surprise, right? Because you had to like take a minute and think about like, oh yeah, that's right. Like whatever you're building, that's great, do it. But at the same time, like you can't take anything with you. Hopefully you're having fun along the way. If you're not, like, don't stop, change course and just like relax.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like whether you live in the most expensive house in the world, that's great. Or whether you live in, a gutter, like as long as you have shelter and like you're not being attacked at night or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the basic needs are fulfilled, and it's just really about getting your the self-actualization side of it, right? Pursuing that stuff.
Dude, it's all about the self-actualization.
Yeah. So for what that is worth.
Damn. Michael, I feel like we could talk for like another 10 hours straight, just about whatever.
Squirrel.
Yeah, squirrel. Let's go over some of these questions, shall we? So I always wrap these up with a list of about
the end.
Maybe like a dozen questions.
The end is coming.
The end is not.
I don't want to do it.
Okay, so let's start this off with question number 1. What does an ideal conversation look like to you?
Ooh.
I feel like you already touched on this a little bit.
I love going deep. So, I'm not big. I definitely do the small talk. But what do you call the opposite of small talk? Is it large talk?
Large talk, humongous talk, huge talk.
is that what like small talk? Small talk is small talk. But what is deep talk?
Was this Google know?
We need to know now.
Big talk.
Big talk? I've never heard that.
Big talk is a communication approach that facilitates meaningful connections in life with family, friends, coworkers, strangers, and even oneself through the process of skipping small talk to ask more open-ended and thought-provoking questions.
Big talk.
Big talk, dude. We're learning. I'm all about the big talk. I'm going to get a shirt that says big talk me.
I'll buy one. I'll wear it too. I've never heard big talk. It just happened. That's awesome. So yeah, I definitely, it's so fun to get into conversations like this and just kind of, I don't know, see what's out there, see like what makes other people tick. And I'm always happy to kind of learn something from somebody. So
very cool, man. Dude, I'm the same way, dude. Like small talk, it's cool, but can we just like skip that pretty quickly and tell me about your childhood? Let's get into it.
Oh, geez. I don't know. Here we go.
I'm not going to ask you that.
No, but I mean, that's what I'm, yeah.
Okay. What does an ideal date look like?
Ooh, an ideal date. I would say, I'm more of a city person. So I love being around I don't want to say I love being around other people, but like I feel like there's so much more energy in a city versus maybe in rural parts. So like I would say like getting time to spend going to a restaurant, walking around, and then just enjoying the night. I think that's like some really like key things for me.
Nice,
getting to share some food, share some conversation, and walk around, just enjoying a nice evening. In the summer, not the winter.
Right. Ooh,
I'm more of a warm weather kind of guy.
Same.
But yeah, I think whether that's in a tropical location, I'm totally cool with that too.
It's like some nice beach.
Walk on a beach.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. But yeah, just getting to enjoy the night, the stars. So
very cool, man.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pleasant date. Right now, what does your current day look like?
Right now, what does my current day look like?
A day in the life.
A day in the life. Waking up, going to BanaSun. Sometimes I'll have to get ingredients in the morning. Right now, like I would love to like spend more time like meditating in the morning or like kind of getting my day set. I got to get back on track. So check back in with me on that.
Some sort of daily practice or ritual.
Yeah. I used to be really good about that. And lately it's just been working a large quantity of hours to kind of nurture this, new store and all that stuff, which
it's your baby, man.
Yeah.
Make sure it's
getting over there, spending time, setting up, obviously doing the business, and then in downtimes being able to kind of work on the business a little bit. So 7:30, well, 7 to 7 kind of. Well, sometimes a little bit longer, but typically there. Every so often I'll have somebody else in and I can kind of get out for a little bit, try to grab a workout, or just, kind of clear my head a bit. And a lot of times running around trying to just get personal stuff done because I don't.
Yeah.
Monday's really my only day off, kind of. I mean, it's not really a day off, but it's.
You never have a day off, really.
It's the day that I'm not. I don't have to.
Shop.
I don't have to like be there, but yeah. And then going home. Right now, living with Tiffany's my wife, her mom and stepdad. So typically. Like tonight we'll make dinner and then just kind of try to do some work on the computer, or maybe catch like I don't know, unplug a little bit like you had talked about, right? Maybe catch some like Netflix or something. And then also doing the podcast, if it's Saturday, Sunday, maybe trying to catch some football.
Yeah.
So
your podcast, it's called The Unruly Sports Fan.
Yes. The Unruly Sports Fan.
How long have you been doing that for?
2 years.
Wow.
I only know that because yeah, 2 years, which has been fun. That's like, it was kind of another challenge that I wanted to take on completely outside of the smoothie business, outside of the health and wellness type industry. Just different, Similar. You get to bring over similar skills and pursue this new venture, but definitely a different animal. So
very cool.
Yeah,
working a lot right now, dude. You're hustling.
Yeah,
you're in the midst of it.
I wish I could say there was like more in there where it's like, oh, I cut out and like do this and do yoga for a certain amount of time. And
in due time, man. But
yeah,
you're in the early stages, building it, making sure it survives.
Right.
Once it's thriving, then you can kind of like, step back a little, like, okay, take a little more me time and do whatever.
That's all I'm looking forward to is that day when...
and then I'll be happy.
Exactly. You weren't... Forget everything we just said.
Yeah, exactly.
Once I get to that
point... I'm just going to cut that entire like conversation we had out. This would be like just a little quick 20-minute video. Yeah, just that. Okay. What does your ideal day look like?
Oh, ideal.
You could craft a day.
I think excuse me. It's interesting because like one of the things I kind of figured out during that time of, how do I process all these new things that are happening? I'm feeling really good. I love like where I am, but like I feel like I'm going in this other direction. Like one of the things that I really gravitated towards was, for me, my purpose is to start businesses and just see what happens. Doesn't mean everything's going to work out or it's going to maybe some of them will be really great and incredible, but like for me that was like what I found I need to do. So like this is kind of my ideal day, like trying to like build something. And I will say it's like I kind of have two ideal days.
Okay.
Because like it's building something, and then there's also like completely turning that off and like going to a beach and enjoying like a vacation for a second. But I say that because everybody's like, oh, I just want to retire, and like
I just want to sit on a beach sipping a Corona. It's like, okay, that'll be good for how many days?
Exactly.
Before you're restless, like, okay, I want to do something different.
Yeah, you want to do something. You want to, like, we want to engage in life. And so really, like, those moments of vacation is only fun if you have something to, like, get away from for a little bit. So it's like, yeah, I want to, like, take the second ideal day, do that for a little bit, and then, like, right back in the, saddle, so to speak, and kind of building things or just I don't know, bringing concepts to life.
Yeah.
So it's like those two together is my ideal day. Does that make sense?
Oh, dude, totally. You need some balance in your life. Right?
So then the tricky thing becomes, like, let's say you, whatever, make it, right? And you have more than enough money that you like know what to do to spend. Know what to like spend.
Yeah. It's like I don't even know what to do with all this money. There's so much.
So, right. And like, let's say you potentially sell a company or whatever. I would be very confused at that moment because it's like, again, my ideal day is like building the thing. So like, I guess I'm just going to go back and like keep building, right? Like that's, I guess to me, what like brings about happiness. So I'd be very confused in that moment where like, let's say the dog catches its tail, right? Like, oh,
yeah, right.
This is what this is. Okay, I'm just going to go back to, I don't know, trying to build something. And
yeah, it's like, so once you achieve that thing, then it's like, okay, well, I guess I need to go back and retreat, be a hermit for a while, like do that introspection, like, okay, now what's my next step?
Yeah.
Who am I now? What's the next logical thing for me to get into?
Well, and it was...
And you emerge like a new person,
a
new goal.
Right. So.
Hell yeah, dude. Okay, this one's a little similar. What does your ideal life look like?
Cool. I think my ideal life, I would love to, potentially build these companies, keep doing that, but like on a probably global scale. I want to interact with many different cultures, whether that's, helping people in another part of the world or working with people in another part of the world, all these different things, just really kind of mixing it up. I want to have like engagements with other parts of the world. That's like something that's really big for me. And whether that's a global company, I don't know. That'd be really cool if it is. Or if it's just, we're all of a sudden working in another part of the world with the company that we have right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's totally cool too. So, I think travel, having days where I can definitely take some time off, and then kind of rocking and trying to create things. I think those are all kind of pretty cool ideas. And as long as I can get some moments where I can maybe do some extreme stuff too, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Do some bungee jumping.
Yeah, bungee jumping, canyoning. Have you ever done canyoning?
No.
That's cool. You should do it.
Okay, I'll make a note of this. Canyoning. Nice.
I mean, you might actually be like, yeah, okay, cool.
Oh, no, that seems like, okay. Just from pictures, it looks cool.
You start at the top of a canyon, the top of a mountain. You got your helmet, life vest, all your gear on, wetsuit, and then you're just going to slide down. Like there's a little river kind of cut into the mountain, and you just slide down like little water rock slides, jump into pools of water, rappel down, zip line down. I mean, in some cases you could probably rock climb down.
Do some parkour down.
Yeah, you can do flips into the water. We did that one time, and you just kind of work your way down the canyon. So,
dude, this sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really cool.
Okay, this is now on my bucket list.
I don't think they do it anywhere in the States because it's too dangerous. And it's like how they started the day is like, yeah, you guys signed a waiver. It doesn't really mean anything. Like for you Americans that are here, like you're not going to be able to, like, we don't sue each other for, like you get hurt. There's one way out of the canyon. It's a helicopter. Don't get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was just like that straightforward. It's like, this isn't the US where you're like, oh yeah, we signed a contract. You guys did this and
damn,
we're going to sue you. It's like, no, like you're going in. It's dangerous. That. Dude, don't get hurt.
It probably makes you feel alive.
Yeah. I mean, it was like the first jump, I was like, okay.
Yeah, this is serious.
Yeah. And there was the second time we did it. It was a bummer because they got too much water. And so we couldn't do the like more extreme canyon, which I think there was like 100-foot jump, which, jumping out of a plane, to me, it's not as difficult. It's, jumping 100 feet down into like something like you see where you're going kind of thing. And like, you're going to hit the ground. Like to me, that's a little bit more takes a little bit more gumption to like jump off there.
Yeah.
So for what that is worth.
Dude.
So
I'm gonna do this now. Canyoning.
Let me know. I'm down.
All right. Yeah.
You got a friend. You got a friend in me.
All right. What has been the happiest or most carefree phase of your life?
It's interesting. I think right now, it's just like, which is weird to say because there's a lot of stress and a lot of like worries that are there and that I can like get into, but at the same time, like a lot of the stuff that's going on internally, I get happier and happier. So it's like
with each passing day, it's like your happiness.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm able to go. It's like, holy smokes. Like, this is incredible.
Damn,
it's like, I don't care about like other stuff outside.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then if I go down, like little things, like if I go down a little, it's like, holy, it feels terrible. Whereas like for other people, it's like, oh, that's like no big deal.
That's my baseline.
It's like, no, like once you're up here, you get like, it's so hard to
you
go
don't
down.
want to go back, man.
Yeah. So it's just like, I think internally, like right now, it's just as I keep kind of going on this path, like things get better and better.
Damn.
And I want to try a little bit more with like what you're talking about, like get my head right a little bit more. So.
Dude, I love it.
Just let the happiness flow.
You're feeling good. I think both of us are probably in the best phase of our lives. Because I feel the same way about my life currently. Yeah. I feel like I'm just now, like this year, really coming into my own and like doing the things that I really want to be doing with my time and my energy. And, you know, I'm just like feeling so good.
Oh,
I'm like just like vibrating. I feel so good. Just like, yeah.
Yeah, and that's like I am such a believer in that. Like everybody is supposed to experience the best part of their life. Like at each, like it can just get better and better for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just gotta direct it, man. Hell yeah. Okay, what are some of your biggest struggles in life?
Biggest struggles. I think maybe just internally, you know, working through some of those things, kind of really like battling through negative thought patterns, negative habits. I think there's other things, you know, obviously like starting a business, right? There's not a whole lot of money going around right now, you know, stuff like that. But, I think there's been other things that have come up, but I don't really like look back at that so much as like all the like maybe internal things that I've kind of worked through. I think that's like what I really like look at, like, okay, that's worthwhile to move through those things. And like those were good things to like get away from. Yeah. If that makes sense. That was kind of vague.
That's okay. Keep it vague, dude. Answer it however you want.
Yeah.
I mean, internal struggles. Those are huge.
I think I love the quote. It's like I count a man or woman greater, not the one that conquers their enemies, but the one that conquers themselves. I think that was Aristotle.
Okay.
So
one of my personal beliefs is that I feel like the ultimate goal in life, or at least it is for me, is self-mastery.
Yeah, 100%.
Because once you master yourself, then it's so much easier to master your external world.
Oh, yeah.
It'll just be effortless.
100%.
Because mastering yourself is hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Like, I'm not even close to mastering myself. I feel like I've made great strides towards doing that.
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree. And I love that. I think it's an African proverb. If I heal the enemy within, the enemy without can do no harm. It's just all the same type of stuff, right? Of kind of pursuing that self-mastery. So... rock on.
Yeah, dude. Overcome.
Rock on.
All right. What is one experience that had a profound impact on you and shaped you into the person you are today?
Just one?
Hey, you can list them all if you want.
No, I think that drive that I was talking about, like really like understanding that like inspiration is real and like what are the God, source, universe, your soul can talk to you and like you can pay attention to that. I think that was really cool to have that understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I took a trip to Australia and New Zealand kind of during that time where I was trying to like figure out like which way to go. I think that was really incredible to kind of like get out of my normal life for a second. And like just be, it didn't necessarily matter that I went to Australia and New Zealand. Those are really cool places to go. But I think just being able to get out of your normal routines for an extended period of time is really helpful to like figure out if you're headed in the right direction, so to speak. And then like at certain points too, like going through some of this stuff and doing yoga, like just some of the experiences that have happened, like really positive, really cool experiences. And then also like really like emotional experiences. My ancestry is half German, half Irish. So there is emotion on the Irish side, not so much on the German side. I think I kind of gravitate a little bit more towards German, where I don't like have a whole lot of emotion, or like I don't get like overly, and just to be able to like serious stuff was like coming up. I was like, wow, I was like what is happening? Where I was just like crying and all this stuff. So it was good to, I don't know, go through some of those different experiences.
Totally, man. Makes you a more well-rounded individual.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Who inspires you? And maybe somebody who's not well known, or if they are, that's okay too.
I think a lot of people inspire me. I kind of try to take inspiration off of many people. Cliche, I do like Elon Musk a lot because I feel like he's one of those people who tries to like push his limits daily.
Totally.
And so I'm very fired up about that. I like Richard Branson a lot because he was also kind of like a non-conformist. Like, oh, this seems like this is cool over here. I'll just start this airline and let's call it Virgin. And here we go. Company 1, company 2, company 3, and just kind of going their own way. I think that's, you know, as far as those types of people, really fun to like look at them and get inspired. I love what like Tony Robbins said, where like people who have maybe like one arm, I think that is like, those are spiritual masters, like something that he said. I think that's really incredible, to be able to like live your life maybe without some of the things that everybody have and we take for granted. Like, you know, I have 2 hands or whatever it might be. And I think I just love people. So it's like, it's so easy to see people and like look at them and it's like, oh, that's so cool what you're doing. Like I get inspired by all the people I get to talk to. Like, I think this is so cool, like what you're doing. I'm so happy to be a part of it and you know, just enjoy being here. Right.
Definitely,
so
man.
it's like, it's so easy to get inspiration from everybody. Everybody's doing some cool things, and even if they think they're not doing some cool things, there's definitely things that are inspiring that they're doing that a lot of us just don't realize. So,
and I want to say that, so you say that you get inspiration from like pretty much anybody, right? You can find inspiring things within each person. And when I talked to you before I started doing this podcast or before I started doing the music stuff or whatever, and I was still like, I still hadn't put myself out there. I remember I was at the shop one day talking with you. Yeah. And it's like, you were just like so pumped up about it. Like, dude, that is so awesome. You're doing that. That's sweet. Like, tell me about it. Like, I want to know about it. I'm just like, oh, like, okay. Yeah. I thought it was cool, but you know, it's like getting that validation from you. Like, yeah, dude, that is so cool. Like, like, I want to know about it. Tell me about it.
Right. And that's
like that like gave me energy. Yeah. That interaction with you.
Right on. Yeah. Right on. And that's, I think everybody has a story. Everybody has, you know, these things that are calling to them. Does everybody pursue it? Maybe not, but I think it's still there and it's still possible. Whatever age, whatever, you know, your excuse or limitation, it's just like, you know, tell me about like what's going on. Like, I want you to pursue that because I want you to be the happiest version of you. So, you know, And then it's like, and then you do your thing. It's like, oh, damn, that's so cool. Like, I want to do, this, and I'm going to do my thing.
Kind of like gives you permission to do your stuff too and see other people doing it and just like everybody.
Yeah, we're
rising tide.
Yeah, we're all in it together. So,
dude, I love it, man.
Right.
I love it. All right. What topic or new understanding was crucial in your development as a person?
I think just the whole idea of self-improvement has just been the most critical thing for me, because it's just growth is in our nature. Like if we're not growing, you're dying.
Wait, yeah, what is that quote? I don't know who says it. It's like you either get busy living or you get busy dying.
Yes. Yeah, that's from Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, get busy living or get busy dying. And it is like growth is like the core of like who we are.
Yeah.
So self-development, self-mastery, whatever. It's
expansion. We're meant to expand,
I am
dude.
obsessed with that. It's like it's like that is me. I like cannot live any other way. Now I'm at this really cool place where it's like externally what happens is kind of like even if you don't see anything that's like going on in here, like I'm so happy with what's going on in here. So,
dude, that's all that matters, man. Internal state.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. What book, podcast, show, or other form of media have you recently consumed that you would recommend?
What's this one called? The Ben Ranley channel?
This is a hangout session.
Hangout session. Nice. Cool. I like that.
Just hanging out. You know?
Right on. Wait, so what podcast or what book?
Book, podcast, show, or other form of media would you recommend that you've recently...
Oh, would I recommend? It's a long list. It's just a long list. I think one of the best books I've read that is the most helpful is Ask and It Is Given. Because it helped me to understand the emotional relationship or like just the emotional path that we have within relative to everything. And then once you become aware of that, like you're saying, where it's like, you have a bad day or like somebody, whatever, does something to you. And it's like all of a sudden you can change your emotional state relative to any situation. And all of a sudden the empowerment or the incredible just feelings that comes from that, knowing that it's like, it's not what that person did or it's not what's going on in society. How you feel is on you 100%. And in this moment, you can take yourself up here if you want to go up there, or you can stay down here. And sometimes it's okay to like
sit in it,
be
for
in a
while.
shitty mood.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, I'm going to be in a shitty mood.
Roll around in it, revel in it a little bit, Like,
and it's like, I know it's not going to be forever. And it's like, I'm done with it. And you just go right back up.
Yeah.
Or, go to sleep and wake up and start over. Or, meditate and get out of it. Or just go do something that like takes you out of it. So it's like just understanding that is like the most powerful thing that I think anybody can do. Because then if you go into like everything that you put energy into, like you're coming from a good place. So something really positive is going to come out of it. So
yeah, this made me think of a book I read called The Power of Now.
Ooh, yes.
You read this?
Yes. Eckhart Tolle. Is it Tolle or is it Tolle?
I think it's Tolle. I don't know.
I never knew his last name.
Yeah.
How to say it.
I just said Tolle.
Tolle. I think I heard somebody say Tolle. But no, incredible book.
Incredible. You read it and you're like, oh my God, this is making sense.
It's like, oh yeah, he's like talking about this pot of gold. And it's like, oh, like how do I get this? It's like, well, you're sitting on the pot of gold yourself.
Yeah. The pot of gold is inside you.
Yeah.
Like you can, I don't know if he's saying this kind of stuff, but it's like, dude, you can experience heaven or hell right now.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
An eternal state of being.
100%.
I choose to be in bliss, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
That book
like
is awesome.
I said, it's a long list because all these books that I've read over time have like led me to where I am today.
Yeah, we should share book lists. All the books
100%.
I've read, we'll
it's an app.
Book club.
Have you ever Goodreads.
Okay, I've heard of this.
Yeah. You can tag all the books that you want to read. You can tag all the books that you're currently reading and like that you've already read.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the app struggles a little bit, and like you can connect with friends because I can't ever find anybody on there, but you can then correct with friends, and then you can see what they're reading too. So
yeah,
I'm down. We'll connect. We'll figure it out somehow.
Dope. I dig it. I dig it, man. All right. Last question. If there's one piece of wisdom or advice you would share with your younger self, what would it be?
I would say it's all working out. Like, just relax. You're going to get to where you need to be, which is right here.
Dude, you've arrived.
You've arrived.
This is the moment. Your whole life was leading up to this moment.
Boom. Because I think in a lot of my younger struggles were, worrying a lot and getting into like just not good situations because of that. So it's just like, chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely everything's working out. Just let it work out.
And I think that's something that just needs to come to you with a little bit of age on you.
Yeah.
A little bit more wisdom, life experience. Because I feel like, I'm like 28 and a half. But I feel like I'm getting to that point too where it's like, dude, just chill, man.
Yeah.
Because when you're young, you just like, you want all these things and you want it now. And
something happens. It's like, oh no, this is
end of the
terrible.
world. And it's like, dude, you need a little more perspective on life.
Yeah.
Like, dude, life is long. Like, this isn't the end of the world.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. Is this even going to be an issue in a day?
Yes.
Is it going to be an issue in a week?
By 85, are you going to be like,
right? Like, I'm glad I let that allow so much mental turmoil over this thing. Dude, that's some good advice.
Everything's working out. Let it work out.
It's trust in the process.
Yeah. Right on.
I love it. Michael, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Ben, hey, thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah. We'll
totally excited
we'll definitely
for you.
have to do it again sometime in the future.
Definitely.
Just let it build and grow,
Rock on. There's so many little rabbit holes we can go down.
Yeah, there's a lot. Oh, yeah.
So, big talk.
Big talk. Dude, maybe that's what I need to name this podcast. Big talk.
Big talk.
Let's skip the small talk.
Boom.
Big talk.
Don't ask me how the weather is. Don't ask me how my day is. Let's go.
I don't want to hear about your current day. Yeah, let's get deep.
Big talk. Hey, maybe. Might be something there.
I could see it in the future. I'm writing that down. I'm going to steal that idea.
Right on.
Yeah. Well, thanks once again, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.